Want to go deeper with Lobbing Scorchers? You know, scratch under the surface, get down even dirtier than we already get? Become a YouTube member. Sometimes things just get a little too spicy, a little too weird, and a little too loose for the general public. And you know, the people to see that are YouTube members. We're talking about exclusive bonus videos, the podcast after show, exclusive written content, and little bits and pieces of information before the unwashed masses know about it. As a member, you not only get access to all of this amazing content, you get a badge next to your name and a slew of amazing emotes to use, not only in our live stream chat, but also in our comment section. And yes, we do have an emote for Jesus Ferreira, Go Snack, and Paul Rothrock. This is the best way to help keep us independent and keep us building out this crazy YouTube brand that we call Lobbing Scorchers. Hit the join button down below or hit the link in the top of our description if you're on mobile to join the ranks and become a Lobbing Scorchers YouTube member.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome into a special edition of Lobbing Scorchers Kickoff that is also going to serve as our post-game live. I'm Ari, that's Nico, and we are going to be talking about the Seattle Sounders group stage finale in the Club World Cup versus PSG. We're going to be giving our thoughts on the game that just took place at Lumen Field today. We're going to be talking about the Club World Cup as a whole, and then later on, planning on taking some calls. So if you want to hop on, lay down some takes with us, we will get to that a little later. But Nico, I guess, first of all, how are you doing? It sounds like you had a bit of an adventure on your trip home.
I did. Do not take I-5 South. I don't know what was going on, but it was messed up from the start, from the jump. Then I tried to do a little bit of my own GPSing, and you know that I don't know if that helped any, but you know, at least there was no traffic in front of me. But I'm finally home. I think that I was coming home on a bit of a high, and I think that is all part of what this Club World Cup has done for all of us, including the team. I'm interested how the team comes off that high, because I got to tell you, man, this tournament started kind of iffy and shaky, but I feel like I'm gonna miss it tomorrow. I mean, I'm still gonna hope to go to one more game, but the Sounders won't be there. But yeah, I definitely feel like I'm gonna miss it.
Yeah, no, I had the same kind of feeling as I was walking to the bus stop out of the stadium. I think there is a lot of pride that Seattle can take in how they played in this group stage. It wasn't perfect, but it certainly exceeded the expectations from the outside. I heard a lot going into this tournament about how Seattle didn't stand a chance in any of these games. They were going to get blown off the field in every single. Oh, if they play PSG, they're going to get absolutely just dog walked, and that didn't really happen in any of these games. And I think for me, like I've been hammering home the phrase, the concept of just competing with dignity and acquitting yourself well out there. And let's just talk about whether they did that today against PSG. This was the spotlight game, I think, of the group stage. One of the spotlight games that the Seattle Sounders have ever played. And, you know, when you're going up against a team that just won UEFA Champions League, you expect it to be a certain type of game, or at least very tilted in one direction. And let's talk about just like the start of the game first, because I don't know about you, but 10 minutes into this game, I was like, this is not going that bad. This is actually going kind of okay, kind of good in some aspects. And then as the game went on, like you see PSG's quality, and we're going to talk about that. But Nico, I guess, what did you just make of the start of that game and how the team competed in this match overall?
Look, first of all, I would like to address the big elephant in the room, which would be those same people who you just mentioned that were saying that the Sounders were going to get, you know, trumped and they were going to get just completely obliterated 5-0. Are the same people that will tell you that it had to do with the field, and it had to do with the travel, and it had to do with the exhaustion from a team that had come from an entire full season of play. So those naysayers obviously will still have their own thoughts, because those are the type of people that will flip a coin, and with heads they win, and with tails you lose. So let me start with that. In terms of my analogy, look, I have mixed feelings myself. I have two trains of thought, and they each land in two different conclusions. On one end, I feel like the Seattle Sounders should be proud that they went toe to toe with some of the best teams in the planet, and today the best team in the planet in PSG. And they looked the part, and they competed, and they pushed them back. And the first 10 minutes, as you mentioned, was all Sounders, and you created a lot of half chances. Jesus Ferreira could have possibly had the Sounders on the lead with a great moment of pressure, and then a very poor decision making right after, in which if he slips Paul Rothrock through in a pass,
lay it off. Just lay it
that
off.
that's probably going to end up in the lead for the Sounders. So moments, you have the second goal for PSG came off of a very good play where I think Ovid Vargas tries to cut back in front of goal, gets picked up. That creates a transition moment, and it results in a PSG goal. So you should feel proud that you were able to do that. That Luis Enrique told me in the question that I asked that he enjoyed the play of the Sounders. Hakimi told me that he thought that Seattle was brave, that they played out of the bag, that, this is a team that really played them straightforward.
That's the best fullback in the world, by the way.
That's the best fullback in the planet.
Literal best fullback in the entire world.
So those are high praises. But on the other end, I do kind of feel like maybe there was something missing, and there was maybe more to be had for this team. If you go back and look at every single goal, all those goals are so basic mistakes, right? It's set pieces, it's unmarked man on top of the box, is the throw-in with a bad clearance. I mean, you put those 3 games in a vacuum and you'll see the exact same mistakes. So Brian Smetzer, some of the substitution patterns, I thought that today they were off. I thought that Pedro Vega should have came onto the field. I didn't know if Ryan Kent deserved to start today. I really don't think he had done enough to deserve a start today. So, when I look at the fact that this team wasn't completely fully fit, that Jordan Morris played 10 minutes because he's injured, that Yemer Gomez-Andrade was on the bench probably just for show, it does make me feel like what would happen if either A, the Sounders would have been completely fit, or B, maybe this team would have had maybe one more piece early this year to solidify the base in the core group that basically competed with Botafogo, with Atletico, and they never looked at outmatched. I feel like tonight I can very easily phrase it this way, and I phrased it in other shows like this before. They were outclassed, but they were not outperformed. Clearly, the difference were the small margins, the talent, the ways, the Hakimis. Those are the players that made the difference. But Seattle was not played out of the park by any means of the imagination or any means of the term. They were not outplayed to the point where they couldn't hang. So that is something to be proud of. But I do understand, and that's the mixed feelings that I have right now, is that maybe an opportunity was missed to equalize or beat Botafogo, to maybe get a draw today in one particular point of the game. So you just kind of, when you look at the end result and the way the group played out, because Botafogo did the unthinkable by beating PSG, maybe there was an opportunity missed. So those are the mixed feelings I have. But all in all, and now I will be quiet and let you talk, I do feel like this group should be proud, and they should take that sense of pride and don't let it get stale, and really build off of that for the rest of the season. And if there was a high in motivation and if there was a high in intensity, you got to keep it there and see what that does against MLS competition, because you just did it against the best in the world.
Bad Sequels coming in with the $2 super chat. You're one of our favorite people as well. Thank you for the support. I wanted to talk a little bit about just what, like watching PSG play and what we thought of them, because going into this match, I was trying to look at it through lens of, all right, this is the best team in the world. There might not ever be a context again where we get to see the Seattle Sounders play the literal best team in the world. It just happened to line up like that, and so I was kind of watching the match through lens of like, all right, what makes this team the best team in the world? Like, what differentiates them from an elite team, or like a great team to an elite team to the best team? And it kind of wasn't what I expected. Like, I was thinking of it like, all right, this team probably just has so much quality in front of goal that the fact that they're just elite in possession and probably elite on defense is just, that's what puts them over the top. But just watching them play in possession in particular, I mean, they're one of the best I've ever seen. And to me, it's more about the control they were able to exert over the match in terms of the tempo and keeping the ball. And didn't it kind of feel like they never really kicked into their full gear? And for me, like, the possession was so skewed, and there was times where Seattle like wasn't yielding super dangerous chances off that, but they were just so in control of everything, to the point where when it was 1-0 into the second half, yeah, it was technically a close game on the scoreboard, but to me, there was never any point in that game, or especially in the second half, where it felt like PSG was in much of a danger of conceding a goal or dropping the points, or they were just fully in control of the game the entire time. And I think their ability to do that's like the foundation of why they're able to play the way that they play and win UEFA Champions League. So I don't know, what did you think of PSG?
I was just impressed exactly because of what you said. This is a team that, unlike the PSGs of the past, in which they use that oil money, to call it that way, to get the best talent in the planet, and by doing so, they were very leaning on that star power. It was Neymar, and it was Mbappe, and it was Messi, and it was Fidel Di Maria. They seem to always have a player and a couple of players that were going to make the difference. They had Icardi. They've always had a lot of talent. But this is the best collective group that I have seen in PSG. And I think that's what makes the difference. When you go back, and yes, you have probably the best fullback duo in the planet. You have he has not played in the Club World Cup, but in Dembele, you have a new version of Dembele that grew and advanced to be a player that was way beyond what was at Barcelona at one time. You got a guy like Doué. You have the Luis Enrique stamp of discipline and order and explosiveness. This is probably the team that gets from the defensive end to the offensive end in transition the quickest out of any team that I've seen play all year long around the world. So it was impressive just to see them be as good as they were. And yes, today we probably didn't see the best of it. In possession, there were times where the passing wasn't as accurate as we have been used to seeing it. I'm going to go ahead and share this with the caveat that it wasn't an excuse. It was more of a circumstance. But both Hakimi and Luis Enrique said, look, we enjoyed the tournament. We think that it's, Luis Enrique called it brilliant. But if there's something that they need to do better, is the field. He said, look, the field might feel good to most people, and when you water it down, it's good for about 10 minutes, but then it gets really dry, it gets really slow. And for us, possession-based teams, this is very difficult. And the ball bounces like a bunny was another reference that Luis Enrique made. So, maybe there are some things that didn't allow their play to be at their best. But even then, going back to your point, they seem so in control, so poised. They just knew they were the better team on the field. Guys like Ruiz that have a ton of experience in all kinds of fields and venues and pressure. I thought Villa was so good today. Villa was fantastic the entire game when he came to possession, when he came to building out, when he came to playing defense. You just see a team that collectively knows what they are about in terms of their concepts, their principles, and they just have all the talent in the world. So you have to applaud a Sounders team that did not just bunker, that didn't just sit and park the bus, that at times pressured PSG pretty well, I may add. I mean, they were very good at pressing in several moments in this game, whether maybe some decisions by Brian and maybe a couple of other plays going their way would have changed the course of this game. That's nor here nor there. That's just soccer, because the first goal is the shot that's going completely wide, baby. I mean, he just hit it. That thing was going wide, and then he just happened to hit a player in the back, and he goes in the back of the net, and that just kind of changed the course of the game. So, all in all, I think we could both agree, Ari, that you just played the best team in the planet, and the fact that a deflection and a transition moment was what took you out, you gotta kind of feel pretty good about it, regardless of not believing in moral victories and understanding that this team has room to improve, that this roster has room to improve, and that neither you or I are sitting here saying this is the all be all, we should be content, just put it on auto drive for the rest of the season because you just did your thing. But it is something to help you build for the future and the rest of the 2025 season.
I think Vamos Sounders put a pretty good nutshell, sort of what I was alluding to earlier. It was a very controlled performance from PSG. I think if they really felt the need, then they could have knocked in a couple more. It almost felt like they weren't trying. Exactly, it felt like they were in like second gear, and to the point where in the second half when it was 1-0, I was sitting there like, this may as well be 3-0. And it felt like that, say Seattle did somehow get an equalizer, that they could have just turned up and really, really kicked it into gear. So on one hand, I think you could probably, I don't know, for me, just the vibe of it felt like a taller mountain to climb than it actually was on the scoreboard. But I don't think that takes away at all from the fact that Seattle was certainly a lot more competitive in this game than everyone thought they would be. I mean, we got fans of other teams in chat right now, yucking it up, talking trash. But what's satisfying to me is those people all wanted it to be like 6-0. Seattle looked like they didn't belong, get blown off the field, and they're just like a disgraceful performance. And they don't have that. They don't have that to say. So I love that. I think that's great. I would also ask, why aren't your guys' teams playing in these games? Where are they? Why aren't they playing teams like this? Why aren't they getting the opportunity to test themselves in situations like this? That's a question that you might want to ask yourself and focus on that before you come into our chat. But I guess, Nico, what else did you want to hit on this game? I guess let's get to this from Wade. He was asking, is Coach mad at you? What did you do to him? What did something happen at the presser?
Coach stays mad at me. Coach stays mad at me because I don't scratch my head unless it itches. I don't dance unless I hear the music, and I will not be intimidated at all. That is from Remember the Titans, if you don't know the reference. But there's a reality, man. I asked a simple question, and a question that he probably did not want asked, and is, why did you leave your $7 million young DP on the bench? Why
Okay,
did he
that's
never come in? And
what
he didn't
what
have
did he
anything
say?
better. He did not have anything to say. He said, because that's the players that I chose. That's the players that I thought were fine. I asked him about the substitutions because I thought they were odd. And I love Kalani, but if I'm down a goal, I'm not bringing Kalani on the field. If I need some defensive wing play, if I need to get the ball back to a certain sense, this needed a little bit more of a dynamism and someone who was going to put those fantastic fullbacks, at least the effort to make them defend, and he never did that. He did not try to put one of his most productive players, I may add, because if you take back the all comps of both MLS and what he did at CCC, sorry, he's one of your more productive players when it comes to goal contributions. So excuse the hell out of me, sir, but I felt like this game needed some Pedro to be had, and you didn't. So yeah, he was just not happy about the question. And thanks for the comment. I'm glad that you noticed.
I mean, it's kind of par for the course. I thought it was interesting that De La Vega didn't play at all. I think you have a situation with one of those spots in the starting 11 right now where, if you ask me in this game or any given game, like who should be starting between Ryan Kent and Pedro De La Vega, to me, it's almost become like a wash at this point. Like, you have two players who are sort of in the same situation of, like, you can see the talent, the technical ability, and the final product at times, but just not consistently. So, I mean, I definitely agree with you that I would have wanted, I wanted to see De La Vega in all these games, because him playing against this type of competition, I think, continues to give us a gauge, data points on, his quality, where he stands, how he's playing. Maybe can help inform how we look at it for the rest of the season. But like, I'm not like pressed about the fact that Ryan Kent got the start in this game, but I would have liked to see De La Vega at least for a little bit. I don't know.
It just doesn't seem like, when you bring Kalani and Danny Musowski in the 57th, and then you bring Danny Leyva and Georgia, you moved into a 3-5-2 that you've kind of gave up on. Just seems odd, and you're just doing what with that? I mean, you can't even build off of that necessarily. So the substitutions today just seem way off, and maybe you're just trying to give guys time to participate. And although I could be okay with that, then say it with your chest. Tell me why it is that you made those decisions, and don't hide behind this. It's because that's what I decided, because it's not good enough. And I will reiterate these questions, because I don't think that he gave an answer that certified what I was looking for. And now, I'm not looking for the answer that I want. I just want him to answer the question in a very real way. Tell me what you saw. Tell me what it was that did Pedro play himself out of your lineup for this one? Did you think that Kent could do some things that Pedro didn't? Let me know. I'm just asking. I'm not telling you who to play. I'm just saying, let me know what it is that you did see.
Okay, I see what's going on here. We got a Salzburg fan in the chat who is offended that we did like predictions on like the group predictions, and we had them in last. I mean, dude, I'll just tell you, those predictions were like, it's a lot of the teams in this tournament, we have no concept, so we were just freestyling that. So sorry that's got you that hot and bothered. I don't know why you give a shit what we have to say about your team, because we obviously don't know anything about it, but that at least explains like why you're here crashing out. Nate says Christian $10 million, and yes, let's talk about that. I wrote my little post game article where I highlighted Christian Roldan's performance in this tournament. He was Seattle's team MVP in these 3 games for sure, without a doubt. And what I thought was great about how he played was just you could tell so obviously that his quality was of this level. And we've always wondered, he's chosen to be a Seattle lifer, which we all love and appreciate him for that. But there has always been sort of the question of like, could he have played in Europe if he really wanted to? Is that something that his level could have hit? And there's always been this discourse around him with the USMNT and how he should have never have been called in because he doesn't play in Europe. I mean, that's another great thing about this tournament is that anyone who watched those games, there's no way now that they can say that he's not of that level because he just proved it. So that was great to see. He played phenomenal today. He played it phenomenal in all three of these games. And I'm just happy for him that he got the opportunity to show that he can do that. Because I always knew that he could do that. But to see him actually do that, oh man, he was just everywhere, sprinting, covering ground. His ball winning today, there was more of those plays where he was just getting the ball off guys in dangerous areas, starting it, going the other way. It was just fantastic. So we got to shout him out for that. Nico, what did you make of Christian Roldan in this tournament?
Christian Roldan has been without a doubt the best player for the Seattle Sounders throughout this competition. He has been the heart and soul. He has been the definition of tenacity, effort, grit, experience, leadership. I cannot say enough about what Christian Roldan has done throughout these three games. I thought that today he was phenomenal. The one thing that Brian was right about today's press conference was saying that he probably would have been the man of the match. It's just that the team didn't win, so he was not going to get that. But he has been great in every single game, and he has been the best player probably in the Atletico game, best player probably in the Botafogo game. And to your point in regards to what we've thought about Christian Roldan for a very long time, I had a take a while back when Jordan Morris was loaned to the Premier. Was it? Was it Swansea?
It was the champion. It was the championship.
The champions. That I said that I thought Christian Roldan was built more for European soccer than even Jordan. And the reason why I said that is because his versatility, his engine, his ability to cover space, his IQ, his durability, all of it to me at the time. And, there was at least a La Liga team that was maybe never made an offer for Christian Roldan, but was looking at Christian Roldan, Real Betis. And I told this one scout, that I thought that Christian Roldan would have been fantastic for La Liga. So yes, I believe that in my mind, Christian Roldan, although we love that he's a lifer, I really do believe that there's a universe where if he had gone to, let's just put him in Spain 3-4 years ago, he would be a very good player in that league. I mean, you look at De La Torre, no disrespect to him, he's a very good player. I don't think Christian, 4 or 5 years ago could have not done what De La Torre did in La Liga. So I really do believe that he maybe he's played the cards that he was dealt, but I've always felt like he was, and I hate to use this word, but maybe meant for more in a global spectrum. I mean, he's been so good for the Sounders in MLS, and he's probably extremely happy with his trajectory and his career. But my outlook of who he is as a player should have probably reached great.
Uh-oh. I'm losing you, Nico.
Oh,
Does anyone else? Okay.
am I back?
Yeah, I got you now. I don't know if that was on my end or if that was on everybody's end, but I got you now.
Yeah.
Just in case it was just me, lay down the last part of your take there again.
No, just saying that that's just me talking about how highly I think of Christian Roldan. That as much as he's had a fantastic trajectory, I've always felt like he could have done even more because that's how good of a player, a person, an athlete, a professional he is.
Yeah, I'm not the one who said it. Matthew Doyle said it. If he keeps playing like this, you should probably get called into the USMNT. I mean, look, that's like one of the most triggering things for that fan base is specifically that player getting called in. It ain't like the guys that are getting called in above him right now are doing that hot. Okay, like they're just not. So
Yeah.
maybe you guys. I don't even consider myself a part of that fan base anymore at all. You guys could use him. Like might actually help the team. Man, that's really gonna ruffle some feathers. Wade asks thoughts on Jesus' performance today. His passing was way off today, and he seemed to not really do a lot in the attack. Yeah, he was kind of killing me with that first one where Rothrock freaking wins the ball off the goalkeeper, who's like obviously one of the best ever in the world, whatever. And Rothrock actually gets the ball off him, finds Jesus Ferreira, and it's just the layoff was there, man. It was there, and he instead rips it into the 27th row, and it was just like the rest of the game. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's a little tough to gauge anybody in attack because I think this PSG team, to me, it seems like that's about as like solid a defense as you can possibly go against. The thing about that team is there's kind of no weaknesses. And I feel like even the guys that were trying to do what they could in attack, it's just like it's you can't get anything going against those guys. That's like what they do to you. They just take the air out of you, take the life out of you, and it looks like they're not even trying. Like there was points of that game where it literally looked like they were just like it was like they were at practice. And it sometimes when you say that, it's like in the context of them beating you by 3 or 4 goals. But I think that's the thing about this team. They don't even need to do that. They get the 1 goal, and then they're so good in possession and so good defensively that may as well be like a 3 or 4 goal lead. That's how I felt. So, yeah, Ferreira was killing me with the with not laying it off to Rothrock there. Wasn't that effective the rest of the game. Definitely needs to be more effective going into the second half of the season here. But if we're talking about like, you know, what any individual player could have done better to change the result, I don't know if anything Jesus or anyone else would have made a difference here. I just think that the degree of difficulty you're threading on trying to score any goddamn goal against this PSG team is hard. The fact that Botafogo did it is like a testament to their team and Igor Jesus as an individual player, but also I don't know what you think about this, Nico, but I feel like Brazilian football has made like a strong statement in this tournament. They have showed up. They're getting results. They have had like this increased investment in recent years with the goal of going into tournaments like this and doing exactly what they're doing right now. And this sort of feels like a kind of moment where everyone who's watching this tournament and like keeping track of the game globally has to look at what Botafogo and Flamengo and what the Brazilian teams are doing in this tournament and be like, this needs to be taken seriously. Like this is a thing.
Yeah, no. Look, first of all, let's start off with Jesus. He had a poor game. He had a bad game. And maybe a lot of it has to do with that miss in the 19th minute. It's funny because Rothrock creates the pressure, but it is Jesus who intercepts the pass. So he does a great job by getting to that ball and then completely loses his idea of what he wanted to do. I think he panics. You said that in the press box, Ari. It might have been a moment of panic where you didn't realize you were going to get the ball. Now you get it and you just shoot. But
well, and I think what he was, to the extent that he was able to like have a planning thought in his mind in that moment, he's like, all right, like we have them scrambling, like the goalkeeper's off his line. Like right now, I'm pretty far away at a tough angle, but I got to get this shot off like while we have that. But it's like you have Rothrock right there. He's right there. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. No, but that's what I'm saying. I just think he had an off game. It might have been the nerves. It could have been all kinds of situations. But at the end of the day, you got to perform. And as someone who has been in his corner from the very beginning, this is kind of what you needed to do to gain confidence. And I know that he has articulated that he doesn't care about what people say, but he's very aware of what people say, and he wants to do well. He wants to perform. I know it. I've talked to him on and off the mics, and you could tell how much he gives a shit. So this sort of situation, that particular moment, I could only see it just eating him inside for the rest of the game. So you're right. I thought that his decision making wasn't great. His passing wasn't great. Some of the runs he were making wasn't quite there. And then when he would make the right runs, the passes weren't getting to him. There is a very good transition moment where Ryan Kent feints a defender and he's moving forward. Ferreira's in the right place, but Ryan Kent doesn't get him the ball. So all of those things, I feel like they just snowballed today. It felt like if it wasn't a mistake on his end, it was a mistake on someone's end. And it just very slowly just completely overshadowed anything that he could have done positively. He was probably one of the lowest rated players today, if I could say so myself.
Looking at this tournament as a whole, like why don't we do like a little letter grade thing like we've done with the road trips and other stretches of games in the past. Looking at the Botafogo, Atletico, PSG run of games in this group stage holistically, what grade would you give Seattle? You go first, and then I'll give mine.
It's a tough question because you got to take in consideration not just the intent, but the results. You have to compartmentalize each game, both individually as collective. So I'm going to play it safe here, and I'm going to go with a C minus. And this is why I'm going to go with a C minus. I felt like the team played good enough to be at a B grade. But at the end of the day, there were too many mistakes that were correctable that I do lay on the coach and the coaching staff for not getting them ready for those particular moments and those mental lapses that cannot continue to happen. You cannot have 3 goals with unmarked players on top of the box. 2 against Atletico. 1 is the Barrios goal that ends up in the back of the net. In that same game, Llorente, off of a set piece, results by himself on top of the box. He shoots the ball that hits the post, and it goes down, and eventually Wetzel puts it in the back of the net. And then today, again, another time where it's just a guy completely by himself, top of the box. So too many mistakes that should be corrected for me to give you a higher grade. I'm not going to fail them, and I'm not going to go D because the tenacity, the effort, the character, and this was not said by me. This was said by Hakimi, the best fullback in the world. He said, I thought that the team showed a lot of character throughout this game. And I felt like this team has shown a lot of character throughout the entirety of this tournament, whether it was after going down 1-0 against Botafogo and completely putting that game against the ropes that whole second half, whether it was against Atletico. And when things went wrong, you were still able to play your game and pressure. And then here today, regardless of those 2 bad moments, you had spells of these games where you should have been on top, but you couldn't. So C is a little bit below average for me. That's the way I kind of see it in my head. I don't know if that's accurate in terms of grading. I'm not a teacher. But to me, it just feels like it was just slightly below the average simply because of the execution and the very preventable situations that were made both by starting lineups, decisions, and decisions on the field.
Yeah, I would go slightly higher than a C minus. I think I would go more like C plus. Um, my barometer for success in this tournament, as I've said repeatedly, been saying the entire time, was compete with dignity. Don't do anything embarrassing. Don't do
Sure.
anything that's going to set the club in the league back multiple decades. It would have had to have been really bad for that to happen. But people were saying that it was going to go that bad. They were saying it was going to go that bad, and it didn't go that bad. So for me, like a C is passing, and I feel like they at least met that barometer. So, I mean, I can pass them on that. But I think what you're saying is spot on. Most of the goals that they conceded in this tournament were not the other club's quality, like overpowering Seattle's quality. It was mental mistakes and shooting yourself in the foot. Like they did it to themselves in a lot of these scenarios. I think the biggest one that will always kind of gnaw at me is Nuhu's in the Botafogo game, where he commits a foul away from the ball that he gets baited into by the opposing team and gives them a dangerous set piece that they score on. And we've talked about that sequence ad nauseum, but it's just that's the type of decision, the type of play that you cannot make in a game like this. The margins are too thin. You're fighting too much of an uphill battle already to put yourself in situations where you have to overcome stuff like that. You can't do it, and he was deservedly benched for it. But it wasn't just him. Most of these goals could be kind of boiled down to something like that. I think News was the most egregious, but yeah, it's just like it's positioning stuff, it's mental errors, it's bad giveaways, stuff that just doesn't need to happen. And to get a higher grade from me, you would have had to like not have as many of those. If you have like one or two of those, all right, whatever. Like stuff happens in any given game, but they had just a bunch of them. Today, I feel like the first PSG goal was John Bell said it was like he described it as like fluky, which to me it's like you make your own luck type of situation. They get like a pretty good shot off, or at least a shot off from a good area that's going wide. But if you're putting that in that area, you open up the possibility that it could take a deflection like that and deflect in. But that's more of one that's I look at that and I'm like, all right, I don't know how much could have been done differently. But the reason that I can't give them like an A would have been if I think I would have given an A if they had gotten any result in this group stage. That's sort of the other reason that I feel like I can't like, and that would have been an A. If they're gonna go 0-3 and I'm still gonna give them like a B or a B minus, they would have had to it would have had to have been situations where it was just the other teams out qualitying them and not them shooting themselves in the foot. So that's I think C plus is about where I land.
Yeah, and if you take a lead, if maybe you had a game where you lost in the very last minutes, like maybe those are the moments where you might go B when it came to this team. But once again, I feel like the bar has to be set high, and it's not about like we're not being unreasonable here because obviously all of these teams are more talented. No disrespect, obviously. They are worth a lot more money. There are players in both PSG and Atletico that are worth more than your entire roster. So those are all things that should be taken into consideration. One player worth more than your entire team. So let's put that into context. But at the end of the day, because of the way he played out, I cannot get rid of the feeling that there were opportunities missed. And it makes me wonder, what if it would have been a little bit better? What if you had been a lot sharper? What if you had been more poised in certain moments, talking about Nuhu? So those are the things that make me just drop that to a C minus. I also, again, I wanted to see a little bit more continuity. And I know that's difficult with the, rotating players and things like that. But at the end of the day, moving forward, more in the overall concept, I really do think that the team is probably feeling pretty well, pretty good. I think that they can all say, look, we worked hard. We did not get outplayed in any of these games. We did not get mollywopped in any of them. I mean, it was always a competitive game. And they went toe to toe. They went toe to toe. And that's something that we cannot take away.
Yeah, I do wish that we could have seen what would have happened if both Jordan Morris and Ymar were healthy for this tournament. I think both of them, obviously, both of those absences loomed extremely large. Jordan in the just what he brings in terms of the runs he's able to make, but also his finishing ability. But honestly, the one that looms even larger to me is Ymar. Like, I feel like we really saw in this tournament, like, how important that guy is to this team. We'll never know, but I feel like if he's healthy and playing at his full capacity in this tournament, maybe a couple of those goals, those mental errors, just with his leadership and with his intelligence and everything he brings to the table, and also just his physical presence is so valuable in a game like this where you're going against these world-class athletes that are the literal best in the game. Like, missing a guy like that, your leader, your linchpin in defense. I don't know if it would have changed anything. I just would have liked to see it. It would have been nice. Nico, anything else you wanted to hit here? Anything on your mind that we haven't talked about with this game? We could talk about how it could affect the season going forward here. Like, I guess, yeah, that's a good place to go. Like, so like when they're in CONCACAF Champions Cup, sometimes you see, or Leagues Cup even, you see when they get back to league play, the fact that they've been playing higher level opposition actually does transfer over sometimes. And I will always say, for all the hate that Leagues Cup gets, I think the 2021 run, right? That was the year they made the Leagues Cup final. I really think that those games gave them like such a solid base to go on that 2022 run, because they got so many more reps going against those teams, and playing better competition ups your level. It just does. So to what extent, Nico, do you think that getting to play teams like PSG, Atletico Madrid, and Botafogo can help this team as they return to league play here on Saturday with Austin FC? It's pretty funny, like, going from PSG to Austin FC, but yeah, they're coming to Lumen Field on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that the biggest hurdle will be mental. Is you were getting yourself amped and ready and motivated to go against the best of the best. A lot of these games, you were coming in with a huge chip on your shoulder and being the real underdog and saying, look, it's a, win-win situation. We have nothing to lose. We're just going to, be proud of what we do. And so you up your level. So can you keep that mentality? Can you keep that competitiveness against Austin FC, knowing that the level of competition just dropped a whole lot, to say the least? But I feel like in terms of camaraderie, unity, team building, confidence, all of those things, you're not going to be able to neglect, because that's what happened here. And you have been on the road and on the battlefield with your fellow teammates, and you have seen the Rothrock effort, and you've seen the Christian Roldan putting his body on the line, and you see Stefan Fry just being the leader that he is. All of those things will cement into a much stronger unit, and that I have no doubt about. But the mental component, I feel like that's where maybe we'll see what happens. Also, the physical component. You saw Obed and Christian once again go 90. And to me, that's something to watch. As much as both of those guys are as healthy and as strong and dependable as it gets, you might need to rotate the pivots. You might need to just give them a weekend off. I mean, you have to go into this Austin FC game and say, okay, JP and Danny Leyva, your time to shine, because you just don't want to risk two players that are so important for you moving forward. You got to figure out what you got out of this 8-10 minutes from Jordan Morris. You got to try to figure out where can he is at, where Yaymar's at. So the physical component is also something that you're going to have to figure out moving forward. But to your point, I feel like this team has done it quite often where they play a real tough Champions League game, a real tough Leagues Cup journey, and all of a sudden they are at a better level there pretty soon. I think that you might see this with this team if they can keep the mental component in check.
Nico, I know you said you had until about 6:15, so if you need to jet, feel free.
I do.
Whenever.
So I don't know if you got any guys on the queue.
I have not. I can. I was just gonna do that.
Yeah, go ahead and do that while I give you my final thought of.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat for anyone who wants to call in and lay down some takes with me when Nico vacates. Pedro from Glorious Botafogo is in there. He says, "Too bad to see you all out of the tournament. Much love." I mean, hey man, I think we're all just happy for you, man. Like that beating PSG, like what Botafogo did on the global stage. Honestly, man, I'm about to drop this link in chat. I would love to have you hop on if you can, and we can ask you just about what you've seen from the team in the tournament and how you're feeling after beating PSG and all that. But link is right there for anyone to queue in. And then Nico, go ahead and lay down your final thoughts.
I have been very encouraged by this tournament. I grew up watching the Club World Cup because it was the one and only opportunity that South American teams got to play against European teams. And for those of you who don't know, if you're South American, you've always grown with this level of competition against the Europeans. They say they created the game. We say we perfected it. We said that we have the best players in the world, the 5-time World Cup champions. And therefore, there's always been that competition level. So it was always amazing to see. But it never quite felt like a Club World Cup because it was 4 games, because it almost felt like a preseason exhibition tournament for the European teams. This one actually felt like a World Cup from the group stage to the competition level. And watching the Flamingos beat Chelsea 3-1 and watching a guy like Arrascaeta just kill it with that team, watching Boca Juniors go toe-to-toe with Bayern Munich, and they had them on the ropes, and they played a fantastic game, and then they lose it there at the end 2-1. Just the Monterrey game against Real Madrid not Monterrey, Pachuca against Real Madrid. It was a fantastic game. Someone on Roldan pushing Real Madrid with 10 players for the majority of that game. It was amazing. Every single game that I've watched, the Benfica Bocas, all of these games have been such quality that I'm looking forward for the next Club World Cup. I'm truly looking forward to what this tournament can look like in the next go about, because I know it's the first year. There's a lot of wrinkles that need to be ironed. I think that they will, in terms of ticket sales and marketing and all of these things. But the product on the field, man, it has been amazing. So I am extremely pleased with it. I want to see it continue. The Brazilian teams have been amazing. The South American teams in general have been very good. Man, I'm just encouraged about what this thing could look like next time around. And I think the Sounders should be proud of what they did. And although MLS teams probably just might have, Inter Miami might be the only one that's still alive.
Yeah, no, they're playing right now, and I'm not exactly sure what their scenario is, but I know they're at 1 draw, 1 win. So a draw would put them through 100%. And then if they lose, then I think we'd have to start looking at the tiebreakers and stuff, which I don't.
MLS teams have done fine. It's their first time around as well in this sort of tournament. So I think that they will learn from this. I think the tournaments have been very good. I think that the venues have been very good. The attendance has been on and off. There have been some really good ones, some really bad ones. But I think that next time when this tournament is more known, I think it's going to be very well. So I appreciate you for having me on, Ari. It's always a pleasure. Thank you to all the guys that are out here. Maybe I'll hop back on if I just gotta do something here with my canine that I never brought back in from when he was outside, and I'm a little bit worried about him. But I might just come back in for a little bit. But if I don't, always a pleasure. I hope you get a lot of callers because the audience is simply fantastic. So thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Nico. Appreciate you. And I'll be hanging out for a bit. So if you do want to hop back on, feel free.
All righty.
Take care. Always great talking with Nico on Lobbing Scorchers Kickoff. One of my favorite things to do. Inter Miami have just scored. They have taken a 1-0 lead in their matchup with Palmeiras. Allende looks like got on the score sheet. So look, Miami just is in great position to go through. But right now, folks, this is exciting. We've got Pedro from Glorious Botafogo, returning guest, bringing him back to the stage right now. Pedro, excited to talk to you, man. You got to be on cloud absolute 9. How are you feeling? Well, okay. All right. I want to start with this PSG game. I actually didn't watch it. What happened? How did the boys get it done? That's got to be one of the, I know the Copa win was great, but is this even better? Like, goddamn.
Well, first of all, good luck to Palmeiras, because it looks like they're going to need it right now. Good night to the chat. Good night to everybody. Good night, Ari. Thanks for having me on again. I just got back home from my own U14 team that I coach. We had a little Monday night sesh right before the Club World Cup, and it's my duty as an educator of the sport to tell the boys, hey, after practice, you're going straight home and you're going to go watch the Club World Cup. So hopefully they listen to me. But man, that PSG, I don't think there's going to be much of a greater glory than winning the Libertadores, to be quite honest with you, except for winning the Club World Cup title. I think that'd be the only title that would surpass it. Winning against PSG, it was not a greater feeling than winning the Libertadores, but it was a feeling that let us know that, if we're given a chance, we can prove that we can hang. And that's what happened, man. We were obviously Paris Saint-Germain are the better team on the paper, right? You look at how much they spent on Kvaratskhelia alone.
Yeah,
it's probably more than the whole Botafogo team.
It's definitely way more than any than Seattle's whole team.
So yeah, I mean, of course, on paper it looks like we're the weaker team, but I told you before, man. In Brazil, we have a saying that the shirt has weight to it, and the Botafogo shirt is heavy, bro. Botafogo shirt is heavy, and you gotta be a big player. You gotta be a player with a lot of mental fortitude to be able to play for this team and perform the way that we did. I think we just performed very obedient, man. We were such an obedient team versus PSG, and we played like any team should have played against PSG. We just congested the middle. We didn't let Vitinha play. We congested that middle. We played with three holding mids, and we forced them to go out. And every time one of their outside mids, either Doué or Kvaratskhelia, every time they got the ball, they already had 2 or 3 people on them. So we just didn't let PSG play. We just didn't let them. I mean, you can look at the shots and shots on target, and the expected converted shots into goals was like 0, even though they had a lot of shots. You can take all the shots you want. If they don't go on goal, they don't go on goal.
Right.
And then a moment of brilliance from our center attacking mid Savarino, which Savarino from Real Salt Lake.
Yep.
A moment of brilliance with a beautiful through ball. It's as clinical as it gets from a number 10. And Igor Jesus takes a subtle touch. He's got Beraldo coming in from the left and Pacho coming in from the right. And with a little subtle tap to the right, he nutmegs Pacho, and then he shoots. And it deflects off the heel, I think, of Pacho as he tries to turn around to recover, and it kills Donnarumma's momentum as he was going one way and the ball went the other. And then we just defended for our lives and played smart. I don't think we parked the bus. We just defended well. There's a difference between parking the bus and just defending for dear life.
Yeah.
And being, because it takes like a lot of focus, dude, to be able to play the perfect defensive game without making mistakes. Because even we were defending, we were trading passes. It's not like we were getting the ball and just booting it up the field and giving the PSG the ball and say, here you go, try again. That wasn't happening. We defended the ball, recovered the ball, and we were trying that, what I told you, like that's a quick tiki-taka sort of thing, trying to find the outside fullbacks or mids for a pass. And one of those with loose balls, we got to the ball first. We battled for it. Pass. Savarino threw ball, goal. So that's how it happened.
Yeah, obviously an incredible win. And, I was talking about it earlier on this show, but to me, one of the biggest storylines of this whole tournament has become how Brazilian football has sort of taken over this tournament in terms of exceeding expectations and not just hanging with it, but beating these teams, not just taking the result of a draw, but winning. I don't think many people thought that Botafogo was going to beat PSG. I know not many people thought that. I don't think many people thought Flamengo was going to beat Chelsea 3-1. And I was watching that game, and that to me, I don't know if you agree, but that at least the portion of the game that I watched, that looked like Flamengo was the actual better team.
And they were.
Yeah, especially at the end when they got the third goal, it's like you felt like it was coming. What do you make of just how Brazil has kind of do you agree that it's almost like it's made a statement in this tournament that the work that the whole league and country has been putting in to going into situations like this and being able to compete, this is it feels like this is it coming to fruition in a way that the outside world didn't expect?
Again, if this proves anything, is that we're not so far off as some might have made it seem, especially probably the press from Europe being a little bit more condescending in the way that they just didn't know better. Right? It's like, oh, we have all the best players, we have all the best teams. We're just gonna. This is a postseason tournament that we're all gonna win with ease, and that's it. All these other bums from the other continents, North America, Central America, South America. Well, what do they got? They got nothing. No, and we showed up, man. I mean, God, Flamengo and Chelsea. I hate to admit it, because Flamengo is Botafogo's biggest rival, but I hate to admit it, but they were the better team.
They were
were the better team. And people are saying, "Oh, Chelsea won the Conference League." So we're in Brazil. So even at the highest moments of of Brazilian teams doing well, we still find ways to nitpick at each other, right? And people are saying, "Look, this is how the level of the discussion went." Okay, they were saying which win was bigger, Flamengo 3-1 over Chelsea or Botafogo over PSG, and they were nitpicking at each other. That's how that's to the level it got, because we think that we belong in these kinds of competitions. And not only do we belong, we were made to perform in these competitions. Just look at Botafogo. If it wasn't for that goal that Atletico scored, we would have gone in first. Flamengo is in first place right now. Fluminense is in first place right now. Palmeiras is bottling it right now, but we'll see what happens. It could be that we have a Botafogo and Inter Miami matchup if it stays like this in the quarterfinals. But we are here to stay. The South Americans are here to stay, and I think the reaction from the world and the press of other countries, for example, when Botafogo beat PSG, the French press was saying PSG was knocked out off the pedestal, and then the newspapers in Spain just saying how perfect and how applied and solid in defense Botafogo was, praising a perfect defensive game versus saying, oh, they just parked the bus, because that's not what happened. Yeah. So if there's anything that this proves is that, the Brazilian league might not be as far off from the top 4 or 5 European leagues than people thought. I would even go a step further. I'd say the Brazilian league, in terms of, obviously, if you're going to look on paper and how much these teams are the net worth of the squads, like players wise, obviously Bayern Munich is going to have a much higher squad in terms of money, how expensive it is, than the other Brazilian teams. But I'm talking like, you put a Flamengo, you put a Palmeiras, a Botafogo. I think Fluminense are doing very well with the hand that they've been dealt in this tournament. I do think they are the weaker of the 4 teams, but they're doing well regardless. But you think and then I'd go even say like other teams that are not playing right now, like in the top 5 in the Brasileirão, you put them in a Bundesliga, they're gonna be hanging with the first 5. And the Portuguese league, I think one of these Brazilian teams top the Portuguese league.
No, I agree. The vibes with Botafogo right now are just like incredible. They've got sort of I don't even know if it's like Cinderella at this point, but it's like vibes actually matter so much in a tournament like this, like, and wins like the ones you guys are getting right now. Those create they galvanize that belief, and it's a powerful thing. It can take you on a pretty big run. Just how are you feeling right now about the tournament going forward? Like, are you feeling like this is just like a magic carpet ride that could come crashing down at any moment, or is the mentality of the fan base right now like, no, let's go like make a run at winning this thing?
I think the fan base definitely thinks that we can move through at least 1 or 2 more rounds, depending on our matchups, for sure. I think the fan base is starting to get really excited about it. And I honestly, like, if we fall in that bracket, I rate our chances against Inter Miami.
I think so.
I rate our chances against Palmeiras. We know them well. They know us well. We played each other all the time. Right. I rate our chances against them. If we go on the other side, we play a Porto or whatever. I'm not scared of a Porto. Okay, then after that, maybe you play like a Flamengo, and again, we also know each other, but then you're talking about a different caliber of team, right? Like Palmeiras is a different caliber of team. Flamengo is in a different caliber. So you play those teams, although we know them, like, it's not going to be like, it's different playing Palmeiras than playing PSG, obviously, or playing a Man City or playing Real Madrid. Like, the feeling is going to be different just because we're playing a team that we're not used to playing. So if we are playing Palmeiras, if we are playing Flamengo, I don't think the mood changes. I think it actually becomes more, it becomes more, the players have an extra incentive, because then you have bragging rights inside your own country against a team, right? So if you play and then you beat them, not only do you knock them out of a world tournament, you have bragging rights for the rest of the year, But I don't know, man. I think that any of these Brazilian teams, it would not be strange to see them in the semifinal.
Yeah, it seems like that's the direction that it's headed, honestly, with how well, not just Botafogo, but like how a whole handful of these teams are doing. Again, like, to me, it's become the storyline that I'm paying some of the most attention to is like, I think we can say that it's real at this point. Like, when you have the teams beating PSG, beating Chelsea, it's like you can't really question that. And honestly, if you can beat PSG right now, you can beat anybody. So I think that's
honestly,
like,
man, I think the only team not taking this competition seriously right now is Borussia Dortmund. I think all the other teams in this competition are taking it very seriously. You see Atletico fans today, so the players, after the match was over, some of them were crying. Some of them had the shirts over their heads. Like, they were gutted.
Yeah.
That they lost. They're gutted that they lost. Gutted that they're going home. So they are taking it seriously. I think right now the only one that's not taking it seriously is Borussia Dortmund. And it's starting to feel like not only the supporters of other teams are catching on to that, I think maybe the other teams are catching on to that too. And going back to what you said about Botafogo and how the vibe is going, it sort of feels like the whole world is kind of taking Botafogo into like this little brother kind of vibe.
I'm rooting for you guys. Like, I'm a secondhand Botafogo fan
Like,
right
we're
now.
so proud of you. Like, you beat the bad guy. We're so proud of you, kind of thing, you know. And it to me just kind of seems like, if I were to put into like actual perspective, imagine like a former world champ being retired for so long, and then 20 years later he decides to come back at the game, and he takes out a promising youngster that's beating everybody, and then he claims he gets a win back, and they're like, oh, old man can kind of hang. All right, okay, let's go. That's kind of the vibe that I get too. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting, man.
All right. Well, I got a caller in the queue behind you, Pedro. But before we move on to our next caller, I mean, I get just congratulations on that win,
Thank you,
man.
brother.
That was so sick. And again, I'm definitely I'm rooting for Botafogo. And honestly, how Botafogo has been doing in this tournament makes me feel even like more proud of how Seattle played against Botafogo, because that was a pretty good game, and I thought they showed well anyway. But then you look at Botafogo going on to beat PSG and looking like dark horse to make a real run in this tournament. I'm like, damn, like it's pretty cool that like the team I cover actually went toe to toe with a team like that. So yeah, no, I'm hyped for you, man. Any takes or thoughts that you wanted to get out there about the tournament or your squad?
No, man, I think now everybody's starting to appreciate the tournament, right? If they didn't before, I think everybody's starting to see the good that this tournament's going to bring. I saw some kind of news saying that, you know, they're thinking about doing it every 2 to 2 years now, and I don't agree with that. I think keep it in the same format as the World Cup, making sure it happens the year before the actual World Cup is like a taste of what's to come. You know, next year or the national teams. Keep the Club World Cup the way it is every 4 years. Have the team wear the patch for 4 years is bragging rights, especially if you're from South America. That's huge bragging rights. But now, if you guys want to support Botafogo in this run, we will welcome any
I'm on the
support,
bandwagon. I'm on the bandwagon.
Any support. Go follow me on YouTube, Glorious Botafogo, and on X if you have it. On Instagram, I'm there as well, because I'll be keeping everybody to date. I will bow out. I just want news and analysis with Arturo to explain. I can't support Botafogo because Brazil has a bad lifestyle. I don't know what that means, Arturo, but it's cool, man. That's all right too. I was happy to see the African and the Asian clubs perform well as well.
All right, well, Pedro, thank you for calling in again. You're welcome on the show anytime, and I'm gonna bring you back on because Botafogo is still in this thing, and there could be some more shock results.
Yes, sir.
In store. So
there will be some.
I'll be hitting you up for those. But thanks again, and have a great rest of your night. Congratulations on the whole run.
All right, buddy. Thank you. You guys have a good night. See you later.
Take care. Great checking in there with Pedro from Glorious Botafogo. I mean, the guy's rightfully on cloud 9 right now with how this tournament's going for that team. And like I was saying, like it kind of made me look at the Seattle game against Botafogo a little differently. I knew that they had increased investment and all that, and that they're considered a league on the up, and Botafogo in particular has been considered a club on the up. But if you asked me if they were going to beat PSG, I would not have called that. And it's not just them too. Like we were talking about, Flamengo beat Chelsea 3-1, and the part of that game that I watched, they were clearly the better team. But all right, we got James in the queue, but his video isn't on, so I'm not sure if he's ready. James, if you can give me some sort of sign. I think he might be like away from. Okay, there he is. All right, gonna bring him to the stage right now. James, I got you on stage. Can you hear me?
James, I got you on stage. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear?
Yeah, it sounded like my voice was coming through your feed, but now it's not. So I think we're good. Oh, yeah, there it is again.
My voice was coming. I think we're good.
Yeah, sorry. There's some kind of delays there. If you got to boot me, you got to boot me.
Well, can you close the do you have the stream open on a tab?
Can you close the Like, do you have the stream open on a tab?
I don't think so. I came in the way I usually do.
All right, I'm gonna take you off real quick and then bop back on.
I'm gonna take you off real
Okay,
quick.
yeah,
and
no
then bop
problem.
Back. That was crazy delay. Hearing my own voice like twice back to back. I'll drop the link in chat one more time. Probably not gonna stay on like all that much longer, guys. I do have some stuff I wanted to do this evening, so not gonna go all night. But link right there if anyone wants to hop on, lay down some takes on the PSG game or the Club World Cup season going forward. Feel free. I'll take a couple more if you guys want. How you feeling, chat? It seems like the vibes. It seems like the vibes are people are decently happy. Not as much. There's a fair amount of crashing out in our chat in the after the Atletico game. That was weird. There was like a coordinated RBW crash out group that I wasn't exactly sure where it came from. So at least none of those people are here. Yeah, Hakimi is. I mean, he's good. All right, we got Kenny in the queue. Kenny, going to bring you to the stage right now. Looks like you're on audio. Can you hear me?
What's up, Ari?
What's up, man? How are you feeling after 2-0 versus PSG, the best team in the world? What did you think?
I thought we looked better than Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
No, watching on the broadcast, everybody in that studio said 6-0, 5-0, 4-0 was the lowest anyone said. And against these big European giants, that's all I wanted. Just don't get blown out, like you were saying before. Just get a C+, C- in some of these games and look solid in a group of death. Don't give them anything for free. There was some sloppiness, but and the Nuhu thing was kind of a letdown. And in Christian Roldan's post game during Botafogo, he was in tears still because with his experience in big competitions, he knows how important the first game is. He knew that was the most winnable game, and credit to him. After that disappointment, he didn't falter at all. They said on the broadcast he's the heart and soul of the team, and that's never been more true than this competition.
I think this tournament has proved that. If that wasn't proven already, I mean, God, he was fantastic today, wasn't he? Like it was just great.
All respect to Nico Ladero and Ozzy Alonso, but that header against Botafogo might have to be the statue. That falling back header. Ugh.
Yeah, it was a great goal, but honestly, that was just kind of icing on the cake for the tournament that he had. But especially today, there was a lot of scenarios where PSG was kind of getting out in transition, and the dude is just absolute dead sprint. Like, this guy is not gonna get in behind me. I'm gonna track his ass down, and he did it every time. And just his ball winning is so good, and that's the type of stuff that I think Sounders fans can be proud of, even in a result that didn't quite go how we all would have hoped in an ideal world.
And similar to that, Rothrock was just a menace today. Wasn't perfect, but he's got that same DNA. He's got that same DNA as Christian does.
He does, and his pressing was giving these teams trouble, like in all these games. I thought the team's press in general was almost like more effective at times than it usually is. Like even at times today, I was like, the press looks kind of nice right now.
Jesus Ferreira is excellent at leading that press. I don't know if he's a workhorse like that to really give people trouble. Like Paul Rothrock gave Donnarumma trouble. You don't see Jesus Ferreira getting into those kind of challenges, but he's really pacey and he's smart as fuck. So he'll lead that press really well, even if he doesn't do a lot of the things I want from my striker all the time. And that's another thing with he was pissing me off in the first half. I think this was the first game where we looked starstruck. I guess Obed did a little in the last game for spells. Wasn't his best game against Madrid because it's his favorite club and shit. But in this one, I think some of the team was blinded by maybe it was the early start too. I hate these early starts. In a tournament like this, there's nothing you can do. They got to play at the same time. But even the crowd from the broadcast was a little bit slower to fill in, and ECS was still waking up, it felt like. But big crowd, didn't feel like it at first. But they woke up in the second half, and I think the team played a little bit. It gave the team their second wind when they felt the crowd.
Yeah, 50K in the building was the announced attendance, and I honestly thought it was going to come in a little more than that. Which
Me too.
I think I would say I was pleasantly surprised at how full the building was in all 3 games. There was a lot of talk about ticket prices and how they weren't selling as many as they were anticipated, and then they had to drop them. And then it just sort of, there was all these reports of just general lack of interest, so I was kind of expecting light crowds for all the games, but no, they were packed, and the atmosphere was great in all 3, including today. I think people were just enjoying the novelty, the spectacle of watching Seattle get to play teams like this, which they don't normally get to do. Kenny, I got James in the queue behind you, but any other takes you wanted to get out there about this tournament, this game, or the season as a whole?
Man, I love the Seattle freaking Sounders, man. Wasn't that fucking fun? That was one of the most fun week and a half of Seattle soccer of all time.
I agree.
Nobody tell me different.
No, I agree, and it's I love that we get to say that even in a tournament where they went 0 for 3. But most of there was times where I was kind of had nerves or was stressed watching the games, but for the most part, I was just kicking back. And if they were under pressure and it looked like they were going to concede, I was like, whatever, it's PSG, it's Atletico Madrid, there's no pressure on Seattle in this situation other than to just not totally lay an egg and crash out. And
every single
do that,
game.
So, yeah.
Every single game, before every game, I said, "Oh God, they're gonna blow us out." And then in the middle of the game, like 10 minutes in, I said, "We can play with these fucking guys."
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, Kenny. Appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
We'll talk later.
Take care. Okay, I just switched right to James. I was trying to remove and then switch, but we got him on right now. His audio sounds good. Glad we got that squared away. James, always good to catch up with you. 2-0 against PSG in the Club World Cup group stage finale. What did you think of what you saw in this game today? Oh, you're on mute. This is gonna work. This is good tech. No, you're still on mute. All right, I'm gonna remove you real quick, and then hit me with the thumbs up on the feed when you think you got it fixed. Yeah, no, like what Kenny and I were talking about at the end there, like it was exceeded my expectations in terms of just the vibes, the attendance, the atmosphere, the quality of the footy. It was honestly a lot of fun to just watch pressure free from my perspective. Like, I don't know, maybe some of you out there felt about it differently and you were like, really got to win these games. I didn't really, I was trying not to view it like that and just enjoy it for what it was. And I'm satisfied from that perspective. All right, we're going to try James one more time.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you now. All right.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that.
No,
Thanks
you're
for
good.
your patience.
You're in the clear.
Yeah. So first off, shout out to the MVP of Group B, deflection. Believe that was our third consecutive game in which deflection had a goal. So well done there. And in terms of the tournament itself, I think our major goal was to not be humiliated. Yes. And we came, if we're using the scorecard from earlier, A+ on that account. I think that was a resounding success. I think our second priority was put Obed in the shop window and try to invite some bids. Little less convinced on that one. I don't think that he showed anything we hadn't really seen before. The effort was all there. He was all action. But I don't know that he got to the level it's going to lead him to lead other clubs to invite bids. Third priority, get some memories, get some goals. Did that. So all well there. The one thing that I'm kind of nervous about is, we talked a little bit, we've talked at previous calls about using this as a platform to convince some people to come and play for us. And I don't know that Schmetzer's selections helped in that regard.
What do you mean?
Well, I think that having Paul Rothrock out there for 90 and Pedro de la Vega gets no minutes. I think that aspiring young South American players might look at that and say, well, I'm clearly not going to have much of a future there. I think that might dissuade them. I don't quite know what was going on with Pedro there, but apparently Schmetzer was unhappy with Nico asking about it.
He was.
So, but I think it's a fair question. It's your club record signing, and he's not getting in against the European champions. But on the other hand, he didn't really do anything in his previous appearances to earn a spot. So.
Right. I was glad to see Rothrock start. I'm sort of slowly getting to a place where I'm just like, I'm pretty sure the best offense is when it's just Paul Rothrock starting. I mean, we'll see if that continues to be true, but I didn't mind him starting. De La Vega not playing at all in this game. That's going to invite scrutiny because, like you said, this is a $7 million designated player in a situation where you kind of need those guys. So I don't know. What do you think about why De La Vega didn't get into this game? If you had to venture a guess.
I think he just had a bad tournament. He whiffed a couple of very presentable chances against Botafogo. He didn't perform particularly well against Atletico Madrid. And I think that Schmetzer anticipating PSG trying to play it out of the back, then having Rothrock's not just willingness to work hard, because I think Pedro has that too, but having Rothrock's stamina. I think Pedro tends to gas himself out a little bit, trying to do too much. And so perhaps in that regard, having Rothrock there is the better option. But now I'm getting a little nervous that, Rothrock's contract is up at the end of the year. Maybe some European team is going to try to get him on a free now.
They probably should. It's kind of funny to think about that because there's still this sort of perception of him as the gritty MLS Next Pro up and comer who's punching above his weight and he's scrappy. He's a grinder. You hear all that stuff. I'm pretty sure he's just good at soccer. I think he's
Yeah, I think he's one. If you're Belgian league, Dutch league, maybe 2 Bundesliga, why not take a chance? The guy's free. He's out of contract. He's only making $100K right now, so you don't have to pay him much to give him an improvement over that. So yeah, he might have. I hope for his sake, not for ours, that he played himself into some interest. But yeah, I mean, I do think that it's unfortunate that I tend to agree with you that he's our best offensive option because he's clearly more limited than what De La Vega could be at his peak or what Kent could be at his peak. But when you have teams that like to pass around out of the back, which not just PSG, but Houston does that. San Diego, plenty of teams in MLS are trying it. Just having him there wreaking havoc might be what's needed in some of these games. So
I have one additional theory on the De La Vega thing. In addition to all the stuff you mentioned, which I think all that stuff is playing into it. But remember that play earlier in the season where he had the ball around midfield and he started just absolutely cooking. He tried to hit it over the guy's head and run around him and he was doing all this fancy stuff. And Schmetz literally called him out after the game and was because I think he had a pretty good game other than that in that one. And someone asked about it and Schmetzer was like, well, he needs to not do what he did on that. It was it felt like a really random thing to point out. And then I went back and watched it, and I was like, I mean, that was not necessary what he was doing. And I think there was a couple of times in the tournament where it was like not as like glaring as that play, but just kind of not playing simple, trying to get flashy when he shouldn't. And it seems like there might be, I don't know, I'm just speculating, but I think something about that particular thing, like when a player does that, might just really get at Schmetz. Cause like, I don't know. I was surprised that he didn't play at all. Like I was pretty surprised.
I mean, there is an opinion that you'll see going around Sounders discourse that Schmetzer tries to turn all of his wingers into Rothrock, make them all work rate, no flair.
De La Vega's work rate isn't that like bad, is it? I feel like
I don't think so. I think he runs hard. I don't think he's I don't think he has the stamina to keep up with the level of effort. And the other thing, God love the guy, he's a bad defender. You know, it's there's two options when Pedro tries to track back. He either hacks the guy or gets blown by. So he's trying. No faulting his effort, but he isn't really very good at it. And that's, you know, I've always been sort of defensive of Schmetzer, even as some of the criticism has started to mount, because I think he's got limited options with his roster. I think that he knows that the attack, it's not the 2014 attack or the 2019 attack. And so he prioritizes keeping a clean sheet. And that does lead to guys like Kent and Pedro de la Vega not showing the same flair that we've seen from them in the past. But, you know, the anecdote that you brought up does make you think that he's just trying to turn all these guys into cogs into a machine, which would be, I don't really want to watch that, you know?
Yeah, that was kind of my thing at the time. Like I can see why a coach might not necessarily want him to do that in that specific scenario, but I don't think you should try and coach that stuff out of him. That's part of what like makes him fun and good. So
yeah,
I was thinking that at the time, even though I could see where Schmetz was coming from. But there was just a couple instances in these games where that sort of came into my mind. I was like, that kind of seems like a similar scenario to what got him in the doghouse earlier this year. And then the next game he doesn't play at all, which I don't know if that's like if it was punitive, I have no idea. But it feels like that. And if it was, it's like he got the same punishment as Nuhu for Nuhu making like a horrible mistake that like was super selfish and actually like tangibly hurt the team. I don't know if that's like in a
twice
scenario. Yeah. I mean, the first one was the worst, but yeah, like
the horse collar red card. Yeah.
Actually, I meant the second one because of the circumstances.
Yeah,
of it.
No, that's fair too. I will actually. One of the things I wanted to do was defend Nuhu in this game.
Oh, please, okay.
And maybe this is what Nico's referring to. The Hakimi goal, leaving him open at the back post. The second PSG goal. I think Nuhu had two bad options there. He could either stay at the back post, track the run of Hakimi. If he does that, he's leaving 6'6" Jackson Reagan, who's not exactly fleet of foot, one-on-one with Barcola. I think those are both bad options. I think if he doesn't cut over to cover the middle, then Barcola just skins Reagan and scores anyway. And so I think that he, you know, maybe Nuhu, because I know I'm a broken record, but when Hakimi made that run up from the counterattack, Rusnak had about 20 yards in front of him, and he's kind of late to notice the Hakimi run. He starts coming back with him, and then instead of following Hakimi, Rusnak cuts towards the near post, which leaves Hakimi completely open at the back. So maybe Nuhu expected him to track that run, but I didn't think Nuhu. I thought there were two bad options for him. I don't like Jackson Reagan's chances one-on-one with a 45 million euro PSG player.
Yeah, I was, it was not a great Nuhu tournament. The dumb foul against Botafogo stands out, and I somehow unwillingly became like the Nuhu defender because I've just always been of the take that the discourse around him is like disproportionate to how big of an issue it actually is. And so I was getting like, Noah was like texting me like, oh, you gonna defend him today, like stuff like that. And I'm like, my thing is just like my opinion on the topic is not gonna change like on the most recent game or the most recent set of games. Like I have my take on it that's based on a track record that's already happened, which is, sometimes he does dumb stuff like the red card and the foul against Botafogo. Other times he is undeniably an asset defensively for the team, and he gives you like advantages in certain matchups against like super athletic attackers that other options at the position might not have, and that can be beneficial in some instances. But with that being said, it was not a good tournament for him, and hopefully he can like use this to get his head on a little straighter, because it was not good.
I didn't think he was that bad in the PSG game. I mean, he had that clearance off the goal line, and
he actually did save 2 goals in the PSG
yeah,
game.
and I mean, and again, the one that people really kind of hung him out to dry for, I just don't think he had good options on that one. I think he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. But I agree with you that I think that the discourse around him goes to extremes.
Yeah.
It's either people saying he sucks, or it's people begging him to shoot from 45 yards, which, wouldn't be my preference. But, we know what Nuhu has been for a long time. The frustrating thing about him is that when he breaks in as a 21-year-old, it seems like he's got all the potential in the world. And here we are 7-8 years later. The things that you liked about Nuhu when he was 21 are the things you like now. The things that you hated about Nuhu when he was 21 are the things you hate now. There's been basically, with fits and starts, it's the same thing it's always been. There's been no development there, and I don't know how much of that is on him. I don't know how much of that is on our training. My preference would not be to have a young defender learn from Jimmy Traore, although he appears to be held in some regard as a coach. But I do think that a lot of the things that annoy me about Nuhu probably came straight from Jimmy Traore. He reminds me a lot of him in that he looks like the best defender on the field because everything he does is so dramatic and so spectacular. Whereas you'd have somebody like a Chad Marshall or a Yamar who's just kind of quietly doing the right thing all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I sort of see that coaching tree come down from Traore to Nuhu. But I was a little disappointed that KKR didn't keep his place in this team. I think much like Nuhu, we've reached the peak of what we can do with Alex Roldan, and it's time to start looking for other options. Maybe that's Baker Whiting, maybe it's KKR, but we're not going to know if they don't get consistent minutes. And I thought KKR was certainly. I didn't think Baker Whiting was as bad as I feared against Atletico, but I thought KKR had a perfectly solid game, and so I don't know what it does to these young kids when they go in there, have a decent game, and get dropped immediately.
I thought KKR had a decent tournament. Like, he wasn't amazing, but he had some good moments, and I like his game. Like, I like how he's able to kind of dribble out of pressure. I feel like he's pretty smart about like the space he dribbles into and keeping possession, ball progression, and so I continue to be impressed with him. Even he wasn't like a breakout star of the tournament, but
no,
I thought he did pretty well.
Yeah, and I think he's been, I was looking at his MLS stats on FBref today. I think he's maybe 4th in goals per 90 on the team right now. So he's been productive. He's got more goals and assists than Alex Roldan does in fewer minutes.
He definitely looks like a more dynamic attacker.
Yeah, I think Alex just kind of plateaued. I don't know if that's because, he's sort of reached his limit. I don't know if that's because we've been sort of so reliant on our defense that it's taken away some of the offensive output that he had. And I think he had like 8 assists 2022. Although that wasn't a good season, so who knows what that means. But I would just, we've had this academy, this youth pipeline for so long now, and it just feels like so many guys get in there and just fits and starts. After 10 years since Lagerwey remade the academy, however many millions of dollars injected into it, and in some sense, I think that's been prioritized over, that money's been prioritized over external signings. That's what Lagerwey said in the past a few times, and we've gotten really Obed as a regular starter out of it. And I do wish Schmetzer would just sort of throw caution to the wind a bit, because I think if Baker Whiting and KKR can come out of a game against Atletico Madrid with a fairly creditable performance, they deserve more starts.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. All right, well, I got Noah in the queue actually, so gonna bring him on to see what he thinks of all this. But
hi, Noah.
James, any last takes on the Club World Cup, PSG, the season going forward that you want to get out there?
I think there's got to be better communication between Schmetzer and Weibel. I know that somebody asked Nico on your show a few weeks ago what the relationship is there when they're trying to sign players, and this one to me really drove home that there's just not communication there. Schmetzer's not playing the biggest signing in Sounders history. He's playing Jesus Ferreira in a role that we kind of know really doesn't suit him, and it just doesn't seem like there's much of a game plan between coach and GM. I hear Nico talk on a Saturday at Heart podcast. He seems a little skeptical that a significant U22 deal is going to get done. But if we're going to do that, I hope that Schmetzer and Weibel have hammered out what they want it to be and how Schmetzer is going to use them.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and that's definitely something that we're going to be tracking for the rest of the season here. And as we get closer to when they're ostensibly going to sign this U22, that'll be a subplot. But all right, James, thank you as always for calling in.
Sorry for the technical problems. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, you're good. I'm not one who can ever be judgmental on technical problems, so you're fine.
Fair enough.
And
have a good afternoon.
Talk next time. Yeah, you too. Take care. Always good catching up with James. All right, we'll bring on our next caller. Looks like some guy. I don't know who this is, but I guess we'll have him on the show. Anyway, Noah, how's it going? How are you? You're on mute, I think. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, look at that.
Beautiful. That's good tech.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, man? The PSG game lost 2-0, but it wasn't that bad. It was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, 2 notes. First one, thank God this tournament is over. It's been a personal hell of mine that I will never legally be able to talk about, unfortunately. But that's a whole separate thing. I didn't get to go to this game because of certain reasons, which, again, we cannot disclose legally. For the Saudi government may come and take me out with a strike. But regardless of that, I watched this game on our favorite network, DAZN. DAZN.com. It was a great stream, and
shout out to DAZN. Yeah,
it was a great partner. And I thought one thing and one thing only: holy shit, was I right? Holy shit, was I right? Because it was a fun game. All of these games were fun, and I was right in 2 ways. I said going into the tournament, I said, this is a showcase tournament. Let's have fun. Let's see what we can look like against these people. We're probably not going to get a win. If we do, hell yeah. And just have fun. And I had fun. I had fun watching this team compete. I had fun, getting to argue with people online. I had fun, getting to see just all of the insanity that went along with this. And my second point that I wanted to say that, wow, I was correct on, was Paul Rothrock, okay? I have been saying this. I've been saying Paul Rothrock needs to start, whether it's over Kent or over De La Vega or whoever it is, and I think today that performance is the perfect example and the acquittal that I have been trying to say. And it's just really Rothrock may not be the best technical player in the world. I think he's got techers. But I don't think anyone would say he's the world's most creative player or like the I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? But I think what you can say and you have to say about him is he's a dog. He's the hardest working player on this team besides Christian Roldan. And in this specific setup, this is exactly what you have to do and who you have to play. And it showed today that he legitimately could have been on another Ligue 1 team. Like, it looked like he had been playing against PSG before.
Yeah.
I mean, he was not scared. He played with confidence and passion and energy the whole time. That was incredible. I think Schmetzer deserves props for this match. I think him and Preki and the whole gang created just such a good game plan and were able to manage, the best team in the world and hold them to 2 goals, which one of them, let's be frank, was an insane deflection. Obviously, you make your own luck, but that's like a 1 in a million goal right there. And then the second one is a defensive error from Nuhu, which, that's what I want to know, Ari. That's what I want to know how you feel. I've missed the whole show, so I'm sure you've probably talked about this.
I literally did just talk about it.
Okay,
with I know. I mean, I think it was not the most banner Nuhu tournament. I'm more pressed about I'm still more pressed about the foul in the Botafogo game than I am about anything else.
He had a classic game. He had a classic game today.
Yeah.
He had some gaps and then he had some theatrics and he also had some bangers. It was kind of like the goal line save, but then also
he actually did save 2 goals.
Yeah,
I will say that.
So it's like it was a full Nuhu experience.
It was. What I would say is that like nothing that happens in any one game or any one tournament is really gonna change my baseline take on the topic, but it wasn't a great tournament for the guy, and really like the stuff that happened today to me, it's kind of whatever. But the one that boils the blood for me is the giving away the goal in the Botafogo game, because you actually you had a chance in that game. You had a chance in that game, but the prerequisite of being able to capitalize on that chance is just not doing stuff like that, and it didn't need to happen. So I'm fully on board with whatever critiques people want to make on that note. But as for if it changes the initial takes that I've given on the topic, not really. Like, I base those on entire career of body of work that we have, and also I think not enough equity gets given to the fact that, to me, at the end of the day, it's a question of, are the guys on the field able to get you wins and get you trophies? And if the answer to that question has been yes historically, then I'm gonna give some equity to that. But with that being said, it was frustrating. It was just kind of frustrating. I was talking about it earlier, but just the fact that most of the goals they gave up in this tournament were shoot yourself in the foot mistakes that they did to themselves.
Sure.
And if there's one thing I come out of it frustrated with, it's what would have happened if you had just not done that?
Yeah. Or if you're in an easier group, what happens? You know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna lie, I was feeling like that too. But tell me what you think of this, because it's they probably have a better chance of they easily have a better chance.
Yeah, statistically speaking.
But we wouldn't have gotten the fun and the novelty of getting to see them play the best in the world. PSG is the literal best in the world. Atletico Madrid's always one of the best, most reputable clubs in the world. I was happy to see them get to play those teams, even though it made it pretty actually advancing pretty much impossible. But we got Jeremiah on, so we're gonna do a 3-man panel,
triple box
right here. Sounder at Heart Overlord, Jeremiah Oshan.
Wait, can we change the layout so we can all be
show.
in 3? I want to be able to turn and kiss you guys.
We can do me as the biggest one.
There we go.
You like this
there we
one?
go.
All right. We're gonna have the 3 split. Jeremiah, how's it going?
I'm taller than all of you. This rocks.
What did you think of this PSG game, Jeremiah? 2-0. And it felt to me, I was talking to Nico about it earlier, kind of felt like PSG never got out of second gear. But what did you think of just this game as a whole?
They couldn't because of Paul Rothrock. That's why.
I felt the same way. Like, it didn't feel like PSG ever gave us the full PSG experience, but I think you got to give the Sounders some credit for that. I don't know why PSG wouldn't have been interested in start. Like, I think the Sounders started really strong. I think they played, I think they stayed true to their principles of play. They were pressing, especially in the first half. And I thought the Sounders did a good job of not letting PSG overwhelm them. There were some stretches especially at the start of the second half, first 10 minutes or so, where PSG really was on top of the Sounders, but they weathered that. And that wasn't when the goal came. And in fact, the goal came in one of the more bright attacking moments that the Sounders had, where Obed probably, if he takes that shot instead of cuts it back. Cutting it back, it looked very nice, just sitting there in the middle of the box.
He was going for a clip. He was clip farming.
He was
clip farming.
Yeah. I think that's right. But it was. I thought they held their own. I early on in the turn, or before, when the draw came out, I said I'd rather have the Sounders draw than Miami's draw, in part because I didn't think Miami was going to get out of their group either. Now, of course, they're getting out of the group, so I guess I look like a dum-dum. But I
said the same thing.
But I do think the novelty of hosting Botafogo, the reigning Copa Libertadores champions, Atletico Madrid, and the reigning UEFA Champions League winners is pretty cool. And I think it brought a lot of attention. And I don't know if functionally the Sounders are, they would have a lot more money, so I guess that would be good. But purely from a gameplay perspective, I don't know if they're really that much better off if they had advanced. It would have been cool to win that Botafogo. I think the only one that really bugs me is the Botafogo match. I think that was there to win, let alone get a tie. And they sort of like shot themselves in the foot on that one. So that one's frustrating. But I was really happy with how they held up with Atletico and PSG. I don't think the Sounders have anything to feel bad about. It is kind of funny to think they're on a 5-game losing streak, and it doesn't feel like they're on a 5-game losing streak, because they've played well. If they play this well down the stretch, they'll be honestly, they'll be contending for the Supporter Shield. Like that, I don't even think that's hyperbolic. Because they've played that well. If they played this well in the 2 games leading into this tournament, they would be probably right in the Supporter Shield, right at the top of the Supporter Shield race. So it's kind of, I don't know, it feels, hopefully the lessons they took from this are good, and it's a motivating thing and not like a letdown, because I do think there's some potential for this to be a letdown, where they were at this high level, they were playing these high level opponents, they were on grass at home, which I know it seems silly, but I think that is a mental thing. Like, it just showed what a big deal it was. And, I think the Austin game will be really important.
What did you think? What did you
I was
think
gonna
of
just
the,
say quickly.
okay,
Sorry, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it here, folks. I think you bring up a good point, Jeremiah, and I think that it comes to, like, what does this tournament mean in the long term? Would $9 million, $12 million mean a lot? Absolutely. But you're doing it against, like, Inter Miami is playing, like, interesting clubs. Like, we know Al Ahly is a great club. We know they have pedigree in their own place. And Palmeiras is a great team too. But you're not playing Botafogo, you're not playing Atletico Madrid, and you're not playing PSG. And I think the reality of the way that I always saw the tournament as a showcase, if you're able to go toe-to-toe with these teams, your pedigree on the international scene, it's raised. And really, at the end of the day, for Major League Soccer teams, that is so much more important, in my view, than money that you literally might not even have control over.
I do think that there's something to be said about, from a outside observer perspective, I think more people are probably impressed with how the Sounders played against Atletico and PSG while losing, than people are impressed with Miami beating Porto, who frankly looks like the worst team in their group.
They're not good.
And it kind of underscores why I don't think in the future this tournament needs 12 European teams. It would be one thing if it was 12 European giants, but if we're bringing in Porto, Benfica, and Salzburg into this thing, why not just give those spots to? I mean, I don't know. Maybe there should be playoffs for final spots or something. But I just don't see the point in like excluding more Japanese teams or more African teams or frankly more CONCACAF teams if it's just so you can get in more, third tier European teams.
I'm glad you brought up Salzburg specifically, because we had a Salzburg fan like randomly in chat earlier crashing out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like crashing out because he was mad that it was because you predicted them, Noah, to finish last when we were doing, remember that random prediction show where we were like, I don't know, put them through, and I guess one of us put Salzburg in last. So he was like heated about that.
Brother,
but
your club is owned by an energy drink. Chill out.
I hope he's still in there and that he heard that, because you're right. Ain't no reason for them to be in this.
I mean, and they might. I think they might be leading their group, and they might. I mean, they might. Whatever. Like that. Yeah. It's not totally about merit. I think with some of these things, and if we're gonna try to spread this out, it needs to be spread out more. Like I just think it's a kind of a waste to have 12 European teams in here when. Do we need 2 teams from Portugal in this tournament? I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. I guess I'm sure someone would say, do we need 3 teams from Mexico or whatever how many teams there are?
No, we don't. And they all sucked.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it would be, I think there's ways to make my biggest takeaway from this thing is I think the tournament was more interesting and more exciting than I expected it to be. And I hope that the Sounders can ride some momentum. It was funny. I was in this conversation with Ryan Rosenblatt, who is he sometimes writes for ESPN. He's a pretty well-known soccer writer. And he was asking, well, what do you think the Sounders really got out of this tournament? And it sort of forced me to think, like, I think it was a little bit of a dog who caught the car situation where they had been aspiring to get here so long that they didn't know what to do once they actually got there. But now that they've gotten there, I think MLS in general can maybe take some learnings from this and sort of like understand what the opportunity is, how to maximize it. FIFA does make it tough because they control so much of it. But I do think one of the things that came out of this was I think a lot of fans were reminded that going to Sounders games can be fun. And that's something that I think we've lost in recent years, really since COVID, is that going to games felt more like almost like a chore sometimes and less like just a fun thing you like doing. And I do think all 3 of these games just were like fun things that people like to do. And it was good to remind people that it can be that way. And, I don't know how much of this exactly they'll be able to repeat. Like, can they do these festivals before games? Probably not every game. That doesn't really make sense, but they could do some of that stuff. And I think it was a reminder that activating the spaces outside the stadium is really key to creating a fun environment. And I think there was, you can drill down, and I think there were, I heard you talking about Kalani Kosa-Rienzi and Reed Baker-Whiting. I actually thought both of them were 2 of the bigger, I think they both saw their stock rise considerably. Yeah. Like, I think Reed could end up being the starter coming out of this at left back. I don't know that Kalani is the starter or not, but the fact that he played in all 3 games, that he was one of the first subs in this game, I think speaks very highly of it. I think the only reason, Reed didn't start this game was it looks like he picked up some sort of injury in the last game, and he was available, but he didn't train. Like, he didn't train yesterday, so I don't think that was a coach's decision. And I'm sure he'll be starting against Austin because Nuhu's out, and I think we're going to see a lot more of Kalani going forward. And he at no point, this for a player who was literally on the Defiance at the start of the season, for him to be, starting against Atletico Madrid in a competitive match, to be playing against PSG in a competitive match, that's a big deal. I think, I think it was a really good, a good learning experience for both of them, especially.
Do you think they'll be bold enough to actually play on that momentum moving forward? I mean, I think one of the things that I've been a little frustrated about this season is it seemed like last season the willingness to shake things up and really like follow the momentum, I would guess is the right way to do it, that Brian had with, benching Raul, playing Paul, and all of these kind of things, and just kind of riding what was working. I think that it's like kind of maybe because there's more choice on this roster, there just is so much depth that like it's a little harder to feel like you're fighting your way through it. But I think it made them successful last season. And I don't know, maybe this is like a total aside, but I feel like that's how I'm feeling with playing Jesus at the 9. Like they consistently keep trying to do this. And for me, like I see it and I'm like, well, I understand, why you would keep trying this, but like
Yeah.
he to me feels like a better 10. Put him behind Rusnak. If he has to sit, he has to sit. You did that to Raul when Jordan broke out and was playing incredible. You sat a DP to play him, and it's the same thing with like the Alex and KKR competition has been awesome, and I think they both give different things, and I think it's sick that they both are going to get minutes. The Reed and Nuhu debate now, right? Like that's very. I mean, I think it's kind of clear that Nuhu might need a little bit of less run here or there. I think he played fine in this game, but I think if you look at the run of the last 4 matches, like, it's you might need to try something new, and he won't be able to play in Austin.
I mean, I would like to think that Reed's going to get more of a genuine chance at left back, just because Nuhu is I just think he makes too many totally avoidable mistakes, and he just, I don't think you can put up, and I do think you kind of have what you have with him. I don't totally agree with the idea that hasn't progressed since 2018 or 19 or whatever, but I don't think he is getting better at this point either. Like he's a limited offensive player who can play a role defensively, but it needs to be a really narrow, specific role. And as soon as he gets outside of that, he creates problems for the Sounders, and he needs to almost be perfect defensively to be valuable, because he's just not doing enough. He can't just be giving away dumb. He can't be committing dumb red cards and giving away dumb fouls off the ball and doing things that are, counterproductive, because he's not doing enough to justify being on the field otherwise. I will say the thing with Jesus, I understand. I actually kind of got the decision for Jesus today. I think they wanted someone that was going to be a little bit more able to help in possession than Musovski was, and I thought that it played out well. It would have been nice for him to put that shot on frame that he had. I'm
getting it. That tattoo is coming. I'm already getting the tattoo. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, I will be interesting to see what happens to him now that Jordan is healthy, because I don't think he is a starting winger on this team. I think between Kent, he's probably the fifth winger. Really, like, I think Pedro should be ahead of him. I think Manungu maybe should be ahead of him. I mean, I still like De La Vega. I don't know. No one. I guess it's funny. It's a funny problem to have. Rothrock right now is the most stable winger they have.
Why do you think De La Vega didn't play today?
I mean, it just didn't. I could see how maybe it just wasn't a game. Like they think they just rather would get Manungu on there, and they thought Kalani deserved to get the minutes. So really, it was one of those two. I think that he was choosing between. I don't think Pedro did anything wrong in the 2 games that he played.
I don't think he really did anything.
He didn't. I mean,
wrong or right.
He didn't do enough. I mean, I think that was maybe what it was. Is like, why not give a shot to Manungu? Because it's not like Pedro's doing a ton with it. But I won't be shocked if Pedro starts against Austin, and we'll see. I will say that I see Pedro in training a lot, and I really do believe he's one of the most talented players to ever suit up for the Sounders. It hasn't come good, obviously. Like, he hasn't produced as much as we would all like, but I do think he can do things that I don't see a lot of players doing.
What do you think that is? Do you think it's a positional issue? Like, do you think he's maybe just not a winger, or like, is it the way that like the Sounders play their wingers? It's because I hear this all the time, that he's like this stud in this
He's
decent
he's a
training.
practice guy.
And we see the flashes, but then it's like, oh, you know.
I mean, I think he hasn't had a lot of consistency around him, but that's the same thing with, you can say the exact same thing about Rothrock, right? So I don't have a good answer for that. I wish I had a better sense of why it's not clicking more often, but at the same time, he had a nice assist to Kalani in the Minnesota game. So I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. I wish I did.
You do see it sometimes. Like the assists that he has gotten this year have been good, and like the goal in the Nashville game, that was a great moment. But we'll see if it comes together consistently down the stretch of the season here. That's going to be a big story. Inter Miami.
I have a question for you both, if you don't have one, but if you do, go for it.
Well, I was just going to give the Inter Miami update. They've scored again. Luis Suarez in the 65th minute. That puts them up 2-0 on Palmeiras. And what I wanted to bring up is that Seattle did not do the worst of the MLS teams that are in this tournament. Inter Miami is obviously doing pretty well, really well. LAFC had a way tougher tournament than Seattle did. They lost to ES Tunis, I think is their name, of the Tunisian side. And you want to talk about unhappy fan base that is coming out of this feeling like high-key embarrassed. Their fans are not happy with that game because
the post-match reaction after the Tunis game from Happyfoot Sadfoot was one of my favorite videos to ever go on the YouTube platform.
Incredible. But it was incredible. But even outside of just our friend Travis Helwig, their fan base is like pissed because not just that they lost to the Tunisian team, but it felt like they like I was watching that game. It kind of looked like they were like mailing it in, which has been like this issue for that team. So they're coming out of this just down insanely bad. Whereas I feel like even with Seattle not taking any points in the group stage, the team and the fan base are both coming out of it like, that was a dignified showing. So
yeah, I mean, I think for LAFC, it's very much a worst of both worlds situation. Like on one hand, they got that high of getting in, which is great, but they didn't get to host games. They didn't get to play really very many games in front of their fans. They kind of got embarrassed in both games that they've played so far. They obviously have one more chance to get a win, but it's against a tough opponent, right? Who do they have left to play?
I would have to look that up.
I was just looking at this, but anyway, they I mean, even if they're out of the tournament either way.
Yeah. And, they have Flamengo. They have Flamengo.
Yeah. Okay, that's
insanely good. Insanely good.
Right. So
they beat Chelsea. They beat the shit out of Chelsea.
Right. So this is it's really, I think it's a good reminder to, if you're the Sounders, to just look across the LFC and go, this was not a given that we were going to come out of this thing feeling good about ourselves. And I think they didn't get embarrassed, whatever. If you had told me the Sounders were going to, once you saw this draw, if you told me that the Sounders were going to lose 7-2 on aggregate and never trail at any point by more than 2 goals, I think I'd take that, like it's frustrating that they didn't get a result out of Botafogo, but the other 2 games they were plausibly in. I don't know. Like I hope people aren't too upset about it, because I feel like if they can do this, if they can take momentum out, there's momentum to be taken out of this, I guess is what I'm saying.
No one in their right mind is like super upset or crashing out about this. And I think what you were talking about earlier, Jeremiah, of like the atmosphere and the games being fun again, like you could feel that from the crowd. I think my favorite memory that I'll take from all 3 of these games was when the halftime whistle blew for the Atletico Madrid game, and the whole freaking crowd just standing for a 1-0 like behind at halftime. But it was just, you could just feel this like energy in the crowd of like, good job guys, like come on, like you're down 1-0, but like this, you're in this, like we're behind you, like get it done. And I just loved that moment. Like it was such I'm going to always remember that.
That was good. I'll also say one of the things I appreciated today, especially, was basically every time the Sounders had like a defensive stand, like every time they forced a turnover or whatever, they got the ball back, the crowd didn't like erupt, but they cheered, and I just thought it showed some appreciation for the task ahead of them.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I was also a little surprised at the announced attendance. I don't know what the West Side 300 section looked like, but to me it looked like a lot
Don't go
more
up there.
people.
Don't look up there. Don't go up there, Jeremiah. That's my. I don't.
Yeah.
Don't even wonder.
But right, from where I was sitting, it looked like a much bigger crowd than Atletico, but I don't know, whatever.
I was surprised it was. What was the announced for Atletico attendance?
It was 51 and change. It was like about 1,000 more people than were.
All right,
tonight.
because you guys were saying that this felt like more. I was thinking it felt like roughly equivalent. So I don't know,
Well,
but it was
the announcement was very close.
Exactly. Yeah, but it was just way higher turnout for all three of the games than I was expecting.
Yeah,
I went into this being like, is anyone even gonna freaking come to these? And they were all packed. The crowd was
even
going
the
off.
Botafogo game was like sounded great.
Yeah,
I would agree. And I made a joke, like there was a tweet from Sound Transit saying, or I think it was Sound Transit saying like there might be 3 Seahawks.
Oh, the
or
3
six,
Seahawks games.
six,
It was like
no,
a Cairo
6,
7
6,
tweet. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 Seahawks-sized crowds during the next 2 weeks, and I made a joke about how it might be 6 Sounders games, and I said, or maybe even 6 Rain games, and it was closer. It was actually ended up being closer to, somewhere between a Sounders and a Seahawks game.
Noah, you got any?
I had this specific player question here because when we came into this tournament, we made a video and we talked about on our podcast who we thought this tournament was the most important for, and I wanted to kind of check in on a few of these players. I wanted to start one. Maybe we can give them a rating or like a vibe check coming out of the tournament if they raised or lowered their stock. The first person that's coming to my mind is Ryan Kent, who I was kind of the last tier where I was like, I think this will be important for him because like if he does well, it's awesome, but if he does bad, that's really bad. But it's not like he needs it. But if he plays and it plays poorly, that's going to be a bad thing. So Ari, I'll toss it to you.
They got to get that situation back on track, man. It was one of the most incredible 3-game stretches of footy I've ever seen to start his career. Like, I think because it's cooled down so much, we're getting a little bit of a hard time of like, oh, this is the guy that you guys were hyping up so much. I fully stand by like how hype we were based on what we saw in those games. Like, it was incredible. And I still like the fact that we have seen him do all those things in those multiple games at the start. Still, like, I still believe that is the quality that he does possess, and that's a level that he can tap into. But I mean, let's be real, like pretty much since that really hot start, they haven't been able to tap into that pretty much at all. And I think, Noah, you were talking about how fatigue could be playing into that. I think that might be part of it. I've given my take on how they haven't sort of counter adjusted to the adjustments that teams have made now that they've scouted him up and have the film. But for me, if I'm looking at how he did in this tournament, it felt like he was struggling in much the same way that he had been in the league games of sort of being isolated out wide. And like he wasn't really able to moss his defenders like in this tournament because these teams, all 3 of them, are extremely good at defense. And he just wasn't able to do that. And I come out of it kind of feeling the same way of like they need to, like, I don't know how to do it, but they got to figure out how to untap that level that he showed, because we know that level is in him. Like we saw it. So I don't think his stock is down, but it's not any different. It didn't get higher, or I didn't come out of it thinking like, oh, he's like back. So that's just what I want to see. One of the biggest things I want to see down the stretch of the season is just, he doesn't have to be playing every single game like he did against St. Louis or at Houston, but they got to figure out how to get that out of him more consistently than they have.
Unfortunately, we can't allow fence sitting. You have to pick up or down. So Ari, make a decision here as the arbiter of truth. Did his stock rise or fall, even if it was a little bit?
I mean, I would have to say fall. Like
Okay.
I would not. I like I said, I think it's neutral, but if I'm picking one, it definitely didn't go up.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. Jeremiah, how are we feeling? Ryan Ken.
I'll put a marker. I think his stock went down a little bit, not a lot, but I agree that this was an opportunity to sort of show his class. I actually thought against PSG he had moments where he was very close to like having a special moment a couple times. He dribbled out of trouble, and like he had one where I think he had Ferreira streaking and he just sort of left the pass a little short. And then he had another one where he made a nice move and he just wasn't able to complete it for some reason. I'm forgetting what it was, but he was closer today than he was in the previous 2 games where he was really a no factor. And so but overall, this is a player who looked to me like he could potentially be a difference maker in this tournament specifically, and he wasn't. So I think you got to say his stock went down.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm right with you too. I don't think it was this traumatic, like we got penny stocks now. We're never going to be able to unload this guy type thing. But I do think I agree with you. I thought he played fine in this game. I think that this was the best showing that we've seen since the last time that he looked like a demigod. I think it's figuring out where he is.
It is funny how many people were just like, we got to get him a DP contract now.
Yeah. Which, I mean, honestly, like, here's my take on it. Here's my take on it. I think it doesn't matter because he plays in MLS. Like, his archetype can play in MLS because...
Yeah.
Like,
I think he'll be fine, but...
Yeah, like, it's not, it's not that he's, like, some... gonna leave for Europe tomorrow type of talent, but I think that he's a very effective piece if he can lock back into that and then maybe kind of, I think, get his fitness up a little more, because we've talked about this. Major League Soccer is the opposite of where he was playing. Like, this is not a technical league. This is smash ball. Like, you're gonna run, you're gonna be physical, and I just don't think that that's like in his bag right now. I think he's still working on that. And so that's where I land. I think it went down a little bit. Number 2, Obed Vargas, the man, the $57 billion man, child. I don't know. He's a man now, technically. How did we feel that his tournament went? Ari?
I don't think his stock skyrocketed through the roof, which is something that had the potential to happen if he had just like a crazy good showing. But I'm gonna say up a little bit, just because the first hurdle that he would have had to clear for it to go up was just go out there in these games and look like he belongs, looks like he can play at this level against these teams. And even if he did it wasn't like incredible and dominant, he definitely showed that he belongs and can hang at that level and can have good moments at this level. So I don't think we got the outcome we were hoping for, as far as like him being super dominant like he has been in MLS at times, and really all of a sudden having, like, imagine if he went out and scored like an insane banger today against PSG. Like, all that,
if he doesn't do that cutback and instead finds the top bins.
Yeah, so like that would have been like skyrocket just on its own. So we didn't get like a moment like that, but I thought he had a good solid tournament. That if I'm a team in Europe that had been looking at him, or maybe was like, oh, who is this guy? I'm looking at him. I would look at that and be saying, like, he very much looked like he belonged and was playing pretty well at an extremely high level. So that's why I would say up, even if it's not like skyrocketed.
I'd say up. Yeah, I'll say up. I think up, maybe not significantly, but up. I mean, I think the big question around him was, what's he look like when he's asked to play at a higher level? And he looked like he belonged. Like he looked like he was at, I thought there were moments in various matches where he looked like the best midfielder. He didn't have a complete game where he, was dishing out assists and scoring goals or anything, but that's not really his game. His game is really dribbling out of trouble, being strong defensively. He doesn't progress the ball probably as much as you want with his passing. but you can see he doesn't make dumb mistakes. He's in the right place. He doesn't get moved off the ball easy. I think his stock's up.
Colton says, this is what we get for hyping of an ex-Rangers player as much as we did. We got to hit the film room. We'll be better next time. Yeah. Okay, all right. Go Celtic. But what I'll say about Obed is I think that we're underselling how important these games were, and I really do think that his stock went up. He had a lot of really good defensive actions. He made a lot of great stops. He had a lot of great turns and dribbles out of trouble, and the thing that I will say that I think is the most important, he was almost invisible at times. He was almost like that player that you just knew was going to be on the ball, make the pass, move on. There was no time where I was like, oh my God, Obed. Like, I didn't have any of those moments. Maybe there were some here or there, but I really think that's like what, like Jeremiah was saying, that's what we were looking for. Can you hold your standard against a top European team, against a top South American team? And I think he did that. And I think that that's just another feather in his cap to what we already know. And the reality is like, yes, he wasn't this like superstar. And I do think that some of the pressure was in his head, like some of the decisions that he made to try and go for it and try and like make something out of this tournament, with that cutback or whatever it was. Like, I was like, there were some moments where I was like, okay, I see, like, you're trying some shit. Good for you, do your thing. But I really do. I think his stock went up a decent amount, and I think that this is going to be there were eyes on him in this tournament, marketing or not, that weren't on him previously, and that is really what he needed in this moment. So I'm gonna say stock up. I'm above both of you. I'm going up. Not like skyrocketed, but like Tesla, or what is it, SpaceX, but like it like explodes after it takes off, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Kind of followed.
I was trying to do a bit there. It didn't really work, but
I respect the effort.
The effort is good, but the
I'm trying.
execution is poor.
Okay, let's who else did we have on this list? Pedro de la Vega.
Yeah,
we hit PDLV, so maybe we can hit it quickly. But Ari, we were very down on Pedro de la Vega to start this tournament. We were saying it might be time to pull the cord, hit the eject button, and take that offer that Craig was alluding to from whatever team it was.
Well, we should clarify. He didn't say there was an offer. He said that they were a team that was interested in before the Sounders got him. So I think it was maybe misconstrued a little bit as to how active that interest was. It was pretty.
Craig's not the most eloquent. I will say I love Craig. Great guy. I would drink a beer with him. I don't think he's eloquent. Vague, I think. Yes.
Well, I'll clarify my stance in that. Like, I don't think I'm not at there at eject button yet. But as for whether his stock is up or down coming off this tournament, he didn't play today. So it's
hard to go up when you don't play in one of the games.
Yeah, you got it. The first thing that you have to do to have your stock get affected positively is play.
Famously, that's been a problem for him. It's not playing.
Like, honestly, I don't know. Maybe you guys are on a different page than this. And like Jeremiah, you were saying it might have been more tactical. I think it's a little weird he didn't play at all.
I felt the same way.
I think that's kind of weird.
I don't know.
Like,
I think if he doesn't play,
that's your $7 million DP. It's your $7 million DP.
I don't know. I think
I'm speaking on vibes right now.
Well, okay, vibe it out. What do you think it was?
We were talking it through earlier on one of the calls, but like he didn't have a very good tournament when he did play. Like in the Botafogo game, he whiffed the one from the penalty spot that the one that sticks in my mind most is the whiff, but then he had
the Looney Tunes sound effect one.
Exactly. But then he had the other one where it was like a pretty goddamn clean look on goal that it was just like right at the keeper type situation. And then there was other moments. I don't know if you guys had the same feeling at all. But there was a couple moments that like brought to mind. Remember when Schmetz called him out harshly for like cooking too hard when it was unnecessary at midfield. There was at least one instance in the Atletico game where I was like, dude, don't do that at that area of the field. That's like what you got in trouble for. Don't do that. And then the next game, he just doesn't play at all. So I don't know. I have no actual idea if there's anything to that, but that is something that like organically came to my mind even before this game today. And then it's just like, just the principle of you're playing PSG, the best team in the world, in a Club World Cup showcase group stage, and you're
nothing to win.
Yeah, but then your $7 million DP doesn't play at all, like at all, not even like I don't know. I don't know.
It's definitely not a good sign. It's definitely not a good sign. I will absolutely acknowledge that. I just am. And if he doesn't play against Austin, then you start going, whoa, what's going on here? I'm just not.
And then Schmetz was like very tilted at Nico for asking about it. So that even kind of adds to the like, well, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I just think my read on that was.
We all know that he doesn't like Nico. Yeah, you don't have to pretend.
But like when Nico asks a question that's like not unfair, he'll indulge it at least and not like snap at him like that.
My read on that was that Brian just couldn't. I think he was genuinely a little surprised that they had just played PSG, and Nico's question was, "Why didn't you play Pedro de Oliveira?" It wasn't literally the question, but I just think he was sort of like, "What are we talking about? What is it that why is Pedro not playing?" The most relevant thing to talk about.
Was that like what led off the presser?
No, it was like the third question.
Oh,
but,
okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Was there a Paul Rothrock question? Because I wasn't there to ask it, so you never know.
I think there was actually.
Okay,
maybe
good.
That was
because
yesterday.
I was gonna say because that's normally my beat. I'm the Paul Rothrock beat. When I go sit in that chair and I raise my hand and I get that mic, he knows what's coming. He just looks at me and laughs. He knows. He's like, "Put this on your podcast." It's great. I'll give my take on the De La Vega thing because I know that's what everyone's been holding their breath for. I think I kind of side with Jeremiah on this. I don't think it's as surprising. You had Paul Rothrock balling out. You were not going to take him off the field by any means. I think if you look at who had a more interesting tournament, there was more interest in Georgie in general. I think that he had a better tournament, like in the brief moments that he got minutes. I think he just showed out better. I mean, that's what I think. I
didn't think Georgie was great. He had some moments. I thought today was his most.
He had one really good moment today.
He had a really good run. Yeah, he had one really good play today.
I'm famously the Georgie disliker, apparently, after one of our streams where I said that he's too raw and he shouldn't really probably. He's not ready yet. But I just think like for a player like that, you might just want to run him at the end of the day, like the end of the game, like see what you can get out of it, and maybe it's not anything personal. I'm sure De La Vega wanted to play.
When we were going back and forth on the Georgie thing, my thing was like, I think he could actually bring something to the table in a game like this, just because he has very unique like pace and power where like it does like his type of physical gifts, it doesn't really matter who you're playing against, and like as far as his ability to just like bowl through people, or he's really good at like getting around guys and then keeping
his end line move is still undefeated
and then accelerating, and he did that today. He had a phenomenal play where he was one-on-one with whoever it was from PSG, but whoever that is like one of the best players in the world, and he got fully around that dude and was proactively moving like into a dangerous area, and I thought it was great. And it was only like one play, but that's why I was like I wanted to see him get at least some run in this tournament, because I do think for how raw he is and for how unpolished he is, he's got those physical gifts that no one else on the team really has, and that kind of transcend who you're playing against. Like he's gonna get around you like that sometimes, no matter what team you're on. He's just not gonna have the end product from that, like ever.
Well,
But-
call me Kalen Kyle the way I'm about to get this show back on its tracks. Pedro de la Vega, I'm going to say stock down. I think he had a poor performance. I think he's reeling a little bit. He's going to have to pick it up in this later half of the season. We'll see what happens. Jeremiah, up, down.
I mean, up or down, I got to say down.
That's it. He said that's it. I'm done.
I think we
just
covered
spent
it.
Yeah.
10 minutes on it.
11. We need 11. We need 12. Got to hit the monetization. And then last, I think we hit most of them. I don't think I said anyone
We
else.
could is there anyone else who it's like it's relevant for? We could do.
All right,
we could
so
do
here's what I'll tell you. The people who I thought helped themselves.
Okay.
Kalani Kosarienzi, Reed Baker Whiting, John Bell, at least in this game, was the first game where I thought they didn't miss Yamar. Like, this was the first game where he was as good. Like, nothing he did hurt them at all. I thought Jackson Reagan actually.
Jackson Reagan in this game was insanely good.
We should shout out Jay Bell and Jackson Reagan for their performance today.
Yeah, I thought they all, I think, helped themselves. Christian Roldan, if we're going to talk about one person who's stock maybe through the roof, Christian
This is
Roldan,
a U.S. men's national team call-up performance.
This was his like signature type of, what are you guys doing over there? Get on the phone, call my people, let's make this happen. He said
as much.
He did say as much. I asked him, and he was out there campaigning, I think, to the degree that he's able to do it. He basically said, "You know my number, Poch."
And to be fair,
we call him Poke on this show. But yeah.
To be fair to my guy Poke, who I have been clowning on a lot lately, he has. It seems like he's not like what league you're playing in doesn't really affect.
No,
if
I don't
he's gonna
think
call you in or not.
I don't have any real problem with the way that Poch is running the national team. I think it's good to give some guys kicks in the butt, and Canada's not out there. If guys aren't turning down call-ups to Canada, why are you people turning down call-ups to the United States?
Yeah, well, I think
people aren't turning down call-ups to Mexico.
I'm biased, but I think Christian Roldan is clearly playing like one of the best players at that position in the pool, and I think anyone who is arguing that at this point is pretty like deluded and just blinded by hatred. Like you got at a certain point like put stock into what happens in the games, and like the great thing about him playing this well in this tournament is like you can't be like, oh well, that's against Minnesota United, that's against FC Dallas. It was against PSG and Atletico Madrid. And
here's the reality. This is the truth: is that PSG is better than literally every national team on the planet. That's not like I don't even think that's controversial. I think Atletico Madrid is probably better than almost every national team on the planet. I think Botafogo is at least as good as every national team in CONCACAF, if not most teams in more than half the teams that will be in the World Cup. The reality is that the better quality play is at the club level, not at the national team level. And if he can do this against Atletico and PSG, absolutely he can do it at the national team. This is not even a question.
Yeah,
Patrick Ajiman,
call him in.
I'm so ready for the tweets from all of our favorites. Oh my God, could you imagine?
That's really like obviously. I think we all agree Christian has earned it, and it could actually benefit that team, but the crash outs and reactions, I would also be in it for that.
You know what's great about it? They don't play soccer. They can't. They're not allowed to leave their basement. They are legitimately they are house arrested. Okay, they're not allowed. They were at the Capitol and they're not allowed to leave their basement. Okay, like that's what happens. So we don't have to worry about them. But no, Christian Roldan. Paul Ross. I like this. I said it at the top of my call. This was a fun tournament. We showed out really well. We played well. There were moments where we felt, like there were mistakes, like, but everything felt like just a mistake. Like every goal felt just like a mistake. It didn't feel like a overarching like wow, you look.
There was
like
a
shit.
couple like the first Barrios goal in the Atletico game. I was like, okay, that was a good shot.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you look at it, you have to feel like this tournament's a success. Like you have to.
Yeah, I do too.
Agreed. Did we have any other stock up, stock down, or
Albert Rusnak, stock up.
Oh yeah, Albert Rusnak scoring against Atletico Madrid. Where is the brigade? Where is the brigade?
There's no way they're going to count that one because they lost the game. But he did score a goal against Atletico Madrid. So
you know who hasn't? Christian Pulisic.
0 Club World Cup goals this year.
Christian Pulisic, 0 Club World Cup goals. Christian Pulisic, 2025 Gold Cup goals, 0. Patrick Agyemang, 1.
I was glad that they got a couple goals in the tournament because it was good that the crowd got to like celebrate those. And we'll always have the like 38-second span in the Atletico game where it was 2-1 before they conceded the third, where
it felt like they could get a result.
It's like, oh my God, like a result against Atletico Madrid. They scored one. Like this is now on the table. It could, oh my God, they just conceded again. That was basically.
I think they could have scored against PSG. I really do. I think that
had
they had Jordan Morris in that game, I think they might have actually cooked.
I think that freaking team might just be impossible to score against. I don't know if they've ever conceded a goal.
You know what?
Ask Botafogo how to
funny
do it.
stat that I dug up today was they played 61 matches now this year. They never even trailed at any point this year by 3 goals, and that's what the Sounders would have needed to do to jump.
I was talking to Nico about it, but what did you guys think of PSG? Because I was just, I was looking at it just through a lens of like what I was trying to watch it of like what differentiates this team from a great team to an elite team to the best team. And to me, it was just like the control they had over the game, just so poised, never a moment, even when it was only 1-0, I really never felt like they were out of control of the game. And there was never that vibe of like, oh, the goal is coming. Like Seattle is like pressing on them, like maybe a little bit at the beginning, but the whole second half when it was 1-0 to when they got their second goal, I was sitting there and I was like, I never felt like they were really sweating it or in danger at all.
I'll tell you what makes the difference. $980 million.
Well, yes.
I mean, I truly believe that. Like you just put up basically the thrift store dress versus the Miu Miu dress. Like you went designer versus thrifted, and it looked fine. Like you both looked good. I don't know. I think you said it too. Like PSG didn't get out of second gear. I would fear playing this team at full strength with Dembele and everyone. Like that's horrific.
I mean,
but also
10 of 11 guys from the Champions League.
But I mean, like Dembele is uniquely the best player in the world.
He's the best player in the world.
And like I understand, and like Hakimi played. Hakimi's one of my favorite players in the world right now. So that's like that was sweet. But I don't know. I don't know. I guess this is a bigger question to ask. Like, if MLS wants to compete in this tournament going forward, this is always the question: is are we gonna loosen the spending rules?
I mean, I do think it's there's two things can be true. MLS can be better equipped to compete in this tournament, and there may never be a time when an MLS team is going to get out of a group that includes the Copa Libertadores champions, the number 1 team in the world, and another top 15 or 20. I mean, we are so far behind them in terms of spending and talent acquisition that we're not going to close that gap considerably. Like this draw was uniquely bad, but I don't see why we can't be in a group like LAFC's and hope to advance out of that. There's no reason that Miami shouldn't be able to advance out of their group and maybe even win a knockout.
They are tied 2-2 right now, I believe.
Let's go. Come on, Palmeiras.
Oh no, it's full time 2-2 final. So Miami goes through because
the game's gone.
2 draws.
They were already,
Games
weren't
going.
they already? Were they not already through? I thought they were already.
They
through.
might have already been through. I can't remember.
No, I
Yeah,
think they
were
could have.
already through.
Oh, maybe. I thought if they lost by a certain number of goals, they were gonna.
They did. Classic Inter Miami. Honestly, ahead 2-0 in the 80th minute. They give up the 2-1 to Paulinho, and then 87th minute equalizer to Mauricio.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Jeremiah. There's no way that like, and that's fine. I always say this to people. I'm like, listen, if you want like an open league and all spend as much money as you want, like you can. That's available. You can watch that.
I do think it's relevant for MLS to ask itself though, where do they like? Okay, so we want to be a top 10 team in the world or league in the world. What's that mean? Like, why? Like, what do we want out of that? What do we want this to look like? And I don't think it doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense to just be like, well, we want to play in the Club World Cup. Well,
Right.
that's not like it's got to be something more than playing in the Club World Cup. It's got to be, there's got to be a point to it.
I feel like for me, if you look at it, there needs to be a tide shift in Champions Cup wins. And like how do you figure that out? Because you've got to start at that. Like you got to be a intercontinental champion before you can be a world champion. You've got to be, I don't know. I mean, more relevant in their own local markets, sure. But I think they've been doing a pretty good job at that. I don't know. That's what I feel
think
like.
I do think that is a thing that the Sounders are better at than almost everyone else in terms of being relevant. I do think, whatever, we're getting far afield at this point, but I think that there are improvements that can be made internally that are separate from the Club World Cup. As far as the Club World Cup goes, I think it both shows that there is that the levels aren't quite as distinct as maybe we thought they were. Like, but the teams at the top are still, like, you can see it. You can just see how much better the teams at the very top are, like kind of 1 through 20.
Yeah.
Money.
980 million.
Yeah. $1 billion valuation versus whatever it was for us, like 20 million.
I wish 50. I wish
50.
they had played Dembele.
Yeah, they were cowardly for that. What the hell?
Yeah, come
I
on.
think he's hurt. He didn't play at all in the whole tournament. He hasn't played yet.
Well, maybe get him healthy.
Put him out there. We played Jordan Morris.
Yeah, put him out there. I mean, it is crazy that, like, what did you say? It was 10 out of 11 of the UCL final started. That's their big dogs. Like, that's not you really like got to think about and appreciate that the fact that Seattle was like going up against a lineup that every single player in PSG's starting 11 is one of, if not the like best at their position in the world. Their fullback duo is the best in the world, like by far. And it was fun to like see those guys in action today, just because like I was watching them because talking to my PSG guest, he was really highlighting that, and the more I kind of looked into them, it's like that's actually like the superpower of that team is those two guys in particular, and it is fun to like just get to watch world-class players do their thing, which we got to do that today, so that was kind of cool.
And I will say my final take on the Club World Cup before I leave here and go into the woods behind me at my undisclosed location. I was saying this to Colton actually yesterday. And as much as I've actually really enjoyed the Club World Cup, and I think that this is going to be a really fun tournament going on, especially as they, logistically figure more things out, it's never going to be the World Cup. Like, the World Cup is the great equalizer, right? Like, there is no money involved in this. That it's like, it's simply just where you were born.
World Cup.
I'm talking about the World Cup.
I know there's a lot of money involved in that.
Absolutely. I mean the teams itself. Like, if you look at like the disparities, right? Like,
oh, you're saying like in the salaries of the players.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like if you're born in Argentina and you're good enough to make the Argentinian national team, you're going to play for the Argentinian national teams, whatever. There's politics involved in it, absolutely. But, generally speaking, that's like there's a much more of an equalizer there. With this tournament, it's like, yeah, you've got to play with a team that's worth 100 times what you are and
Right. Yeah.
has different rules and whatnot. But I think that, that creates fun drama where you get to see, Esperance beat LAFC, or you get to see, Botafogo beat PSG and all of that. And I just think that's been fun. But, it'll never be perfect. God knows, but I enjoyed it, and I will definitely be tuning into the later stages and praying on Miami's downfall.
I'm on Botafogo bandwagon. I was talking to Pedro from Glorious Botafogo earlier. He tapped back in and was given the lowdown on the PSG win and all that. So that's the one where I'm gonna, now that Seattle's out, I'm gonna hop on.
Now you have to learn how to pronounce it right.
What?
Botafogo. I don't know. I'm not.
Okay.
I don't speak Portuguese or whatever. Botafogo, something like that. I don't know. There's like a thing, because they got the.
Get out of here before we get canceled.
I'm not getting canceled. There's like a way to say it. All right. You know what? The woke mob's after me. I gotta get out of here.
All right. I think that's a good place to. He's just out. I'm planning on getting out of here too. I'm at 2 hours 45 minutes. So
yeah, that's pretty long. I think I was
that's
here for an hour. What am I doing?
Yeah, I know.
I just stopped working to hop on here.
Well, appreciate you hopping on, Jeremiah. It was good to get your takes on everything. Yeah, anytime.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
I just realized that my reflection is in your
Yeah, that's been an ongoing issue that gets a lot of commentary. We put those up for like background vibes, and then it's like blatantly just to reflect. And I'm not gonna move that because I don't.
No.
I mean, maybe I will, but either way, let's get out of here on that. Thanks for tapping in, Jo. If everyone who's still watching, which is actually a lot of you, like the video, sub to the channel. And we will be back at it this week with God, it's kind of now I got to prepare for an Austin FC game. That which is fine. I love doing that. That's what I'm used to doing. But it has been it's been a fun experience for us to get to like do our shows like we normally do them, prep for them. Like I find my guests to have on, but it's about like PSG and Atletico Madrid. That was fun for me to get to do. I think the tournament itself was, the footy was fun. The Seattle crowd showed out. Everyone who went to the game did amazing to make it a fun time, great atmosphere. And, even FIFA's questionable logistics, that's what I'll call it. Even FIFA's questionable logistics at the start of the tournament. I actually figured out their system by the end and had minimal issues. So good stuff all around. Appreciate you all tuning into the shows and subscribing and calling in and all that. Appreciate all your guys' support. Couldn't do the show without you. And keep an eye out for more to come this week. We'll have a podcast coming out. We'll have Under the Lights on Thursday, and time to get rolling for our coverage of the second half of the season. Shout out to the Club World Cup. RIP to the Seattle Sounders campaign in the Club World Cup. Didn't make it out of the group, but competed with dignity. I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
Some people come to Lumen Field for the tactics, for the soccer, the atmosphere. And some come for Paul Rothrock's hair. Me personally, I come for both, because I have agendas to push. Live soccer isn't just better, it's way more personal. From making friends to becoming the guy in your section that's just constantly yelling about advanced statistics. Get tickets to any Sounders match by visiting lobbingscorchers.com/tickets. You support the pod, our agendas, the vibes, and the chaos.